This Honourable House now resumes its sitting. Call of the roll.
Mrs. Holness, Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Holness, Dr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Mr. Montague, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Samuda, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Malou Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Charles, Mr. Green, Mr. Terry Long, Miss Smith, Mr. Main, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Davis, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Clark, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Ms. Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Henriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Miss Morrison, Miss Nita, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Sibbles, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Witter, Mr. Wright, Minister Green, and Minister Main.
Members, before we start the agenda, the Global Road Safety Week, which is sponsored here by the United Nations, started on Monday the 17th and goes to the 23rd of May. There are posters prepared by the UN that are going to be distributed to each member of parliament. And we are being asked, members, to have the posters in one of your more, well, for rural areas, your urban centers where the traffic is heavy. Hold it up, take a picture of you doing that, and have the picture emailed to the clerk, which is a clerk at japarliament.gov.jm. And from there, we will send the pictures back to the United Nations. Also, there is a webinar that begins on Thursday, this Thursday at 10 o'clock, and I'm asking the clerk to send the link to each of us on the Road Safety Week. And for your information, the Prime Minister, the Honourable Andrew Holness, will deliver the keynote address. So those of us who are interested and have the time and would like to, we're inviting us all to join in on the webinar if we can. Thank you very much. Statements by ministers. Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following: Ministry Paper number 30 of 2021, an annual report of the Public Accountancy Board for the year 2019-2020. Ministry Paper number 31 of 2021, an annual report of the Casino Gaming Commission for the year 2019-2020, the Conch Export Levy Rate of Levy Order 2021 and resolution under the Conch Export Levy Act, annual report of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for the years 2013-2014, 2014-2015, and 2015-2016, annual report of the Rural Water Supply Limited for the year 2018-2019, and annual report of the National Solid Waste Management Authority for the year 2019-2020.
Bills brought from the Senate.
The following is a message from the President of the Senate. To the Honorable House of Representatives, I have the honor to advise the Honorable House of Representatives that on the 14th day of May 2021, a bill entitled An Act to Amend the National Insurance Act to increase the contributions paid to the National Insurance Scheme and increase the benefits payable under the National Insurance Scheme, to validate and confirm the payment of certain benefits made in good faith by persons acting on behalf of the National Insurance Fund, and the collection of contribution done in good faith, and to indemnify certain persons in respect of those payments and contributions, and for connected matters, was passed in the Senate without amendment. Signed, Thomas Tavares Finson, OJCDQCJP, President of the Senate.
Petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the Conch Export Levy Act. Whereas by virtue of Section 3(1)(c)(2) of the Conch Export Levy Act, herein after referred to as the Act, the Minister may from time to time by order prescribe the Conch Export Levy to be paid under the Act. And whereas on the 14th day of May 2021, the Minister made the Conch Export Levy Rate of Levy Order 2021, and whereas it is provided further by Section 3 of the Act that an order made under this section shall be subject to the affirmative resolution of the House of Representatives, and whereas it is desirable that the Conch Export Levy Rate of Levy Order 2021 be affirmed, now therefore be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. This resolution may be cited as the Conch Export Levy Rate of Levy Order 2021 resolution. The Conch Export Levy Rate of Levy Order 2021 is affirmed. Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Agro-Investment Corporation Amendment Act 2021. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take first reading of the bill and to give notice of its second reading.
Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to sittings of the House. Motions for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business.
Madam Speaker, under public business, I ask for the continuation of the sectoral debate. Presenters are Honorable Desmond Mackenzie, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Darrell Vaz, Minister of Energy, Science and Technology, and Mr. Lothan Cousins, MP, Clarendon Southwest Opposition Spokesperson on Water and Agriculture.
Minister, the Honorable Desmond McKenzie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm privileged today to be making my 5th contribution to the sectorial debate as the Minister with Responsibility Portfolio for Local Government. I'm also pleased to address you, Madam Speaker, in this new turn at the wicket for your 2nd stint in this most prestigious chair as Speaker of this Honorable House. And I must confess, Madam Speaker, that I'm touched by the manner in which you have executed your responsibility since assuming the position. This special occasion, Madam Speaker, came after the decision of the electorates to return the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness to serve as Prime Minister of Jamaica. And in the same way in which the people strongly express confidence in his leadership and that of the Jamaica Labour Party to continue in office, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to say to the Most Honourable Prime Minister, I value the confidence that he has expressed in me, the trust, and the leadership that he has offered. And I came across a quote, Madam Speaker, which I want to share and to say to the Most Honourable Prime Minister that this quote reflects your level of matureness and the commitment that you have been giving to this country. And the quote says, Madam Speaker, the true test of leadership is how well you function in a crisis, Madam Speaker. And we have seen this Prime Minister, this leader, demonstrate that level of leadership that has been required over the last year and a half to keep this country on the path of safety. The ministry has been extended, Madam Speaker, to include rural development and rural electrification. And I want to acknowledge the presence of the former mayor of Montego Bay and now Member of Parliament for South St. James, Minister Omar Davis, who has the distinct pleasure of serving in the ministry as the Minister of State. I give God thanks for the strength to continue the service, Madam Speaker, and for the many people who continue to assist me along the way. My family, Madam Speaker, what can I say about the love of a family, Madam Speaker? And I want to thank them as I continue to do almost on a daily basis for giving me the courage and the strength and the support and to bear me up in difficult times. To my family here in Jamaica and overseas, I say I love you and continue to cherish your friendship. To my loyal political family of West Kingston, the greatest political constituency in the Western Hemisphere, the people of West Kingston. This this relationship, Madam Speaker, and I want to just say something, Madam Speaker, not being bossy, but Madam Speaker, in elected politics in Jamaica today, Madam Speaker, I would have the distinction of being the only elected political representative that would have served the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and 2000, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, only the former Speaker Pernell Charles and the member from St. Catherine, Bobby Pickersgill, would have surpassed me, because Speaker Charles was 66, Bobby Pickersgill was 74, both serve as councillors in the KSAC. I came 77, serving also as a councillor in the KSAC. But Madam Speaker, this could not have been possible without the commitment of the people of West Kingston, and I give a virtual wave to the people of West Kingston, my councillors, my constituency executive, and the team that have been so good to me. The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Local Government, the leadership, the staff of the ministry, the agencies, the councillors, and all the staff in the local authorities who have given exceptional service, especially since COVID-19 hit Jamaica. And I want to say a special thanks to my personal staff at the ministry and to my personal protective team, Madam Speaker, who have been there during the joys and the sorrows and the frustration of public life. We all continue to live through and struggle with the realities of COVID-19. And to my parliamentary colleagues on both sides of the chamber, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the last 14 months, nationally and international, the story has been about the pandemic and the devastating impact that this has been having, not just on Jamaica, but right across the world, Madam Speaker. My presentation today is about a different story, an optimistic story. It is a story about people and the system of local government who continue to effectively manage the public health protocols, lay the foundation for economic and social recovery at the community level. It is a story about how local government is helping central government to ensure that Jamaica is turning the corner and recovering stronger from this pandemic, Madam Speaker. Over the last 5 years, the ministry has invested heavily in our vulnerable population through social protection program. And that is why I was a little bit shocked recently listening to one of the radio programs, the evening program, when the host of the program, during a discussion around the tablets that our Minister Samuda announced, the program by the Ministry of Health, of Labour and Social Security, when the host said that he got a text message from someone who advised him that the government is about to abolish poor relief. And this was a set program, and it was just a matter of time. Madam Speaker, I want to make it abundantly clear in this honorable House that is not true. This government has not and will never abandon the vulnerable population. And what disturbs me more, Madam Speaker, is that there seems to be some misunderstanding around the facts of poor relief. And I want to spend a little time, Madam Speaker, to speak to the House and to the country about the importance of poor relief. Madam Speaker, poor relief is deeply entrenched in our system of governance. It is specifically protected by the Jamaican Constitution. And I want to spend a moment to show how important it is to our society. Poor relief administration has existed in Jamaica since 1886 under the Poor Relief Act, 135 years between now and then. The steadfast feature of the system has been the provision of care and protection to the most vulnerable population. Poor relief serves every category of vulnerable people from the cradle to the grave, including children in need of assistance to attend school, elderly persons experiencing homelessness, needy persons suffering from mental and physical impairment, persons temporarily displaced by natural or man-made disaster, and persons in need of institutional care who has been abandoned by their families. Poor relief provides burial assistance to needy families to ensure that their loved ones are treated with dignity. The great-great-grandfather of our poor relief system is the almshouse concept, which was exported from the United Kingdom in the late 1800s and was designed for the most vulnerable to be hidden away from the polite society at that time. Yes, almshouse. The conditions of these facilities were generally substandard, and landowners at that time were asked to vest their properties in the then parish councils in return for the care of persons. The Evening Tide Home, which was opened in 1870 with a capacity of 160 people, appeared to be the first institution operated by government for the elderly, destitute, and disabled persons. It took over 100 years for the public to have a greater appreciation and to understand the plight of the most vulnerable and those persons who rely on the state, Madam Speaker. By the 1960s, the name was changed, and we adopted infirmary in an attempt to remove the stigma associated with the institution. However, it was the Evening Tide Home fire in 1980 that quickly consumed the old structure and killed 150 elderly and disabled women that provided the catalyst for a better institutional investment in public facilities. Following the incident at the facility, the Vineyard Town Golden Age Home was conceptualized and designed to prevent another tragedy, and was constructed on a new site in 1985 under the direction of the then Prime Minister, the late Most Honorable Edward Philip George Siaga. Today, the Golden Age Home is the largest of its kind in the Caribbean, with a capacity of over 500 residents living in comfort, living and gaining the kind of respect that they deserve, Madam Speaker. Similarly, the Denham Town Golden Age Home, a home for elderly and the infirm in West Kingston, was started in 1989 following the displacement of that population by Hurricane Gilbert. Generally, poor infrastructure of our infirmaries was a major cause of concern. It hampered proper care of the residents. A significant number of buildings are over 100 years old, Madam Speaker, including the St. Mary Administrative Building, the Westmoreland Ward, which was built in the 1890s and still stand today. Madam Speaker, prior to the effort of this administration, the only other period that has reflected some effort of maintenance and rehabilitation work was the decade between 2003 and 2013. Even then, there was no structural program to finance or to guide what was done. It was since the advent of the Andrew Holness administration in 2016 that an intense, unprecedented, and continuing program of infrastructure development have been applied to the poor relief and infirmary care system across the country, Madam Speaker. The level of construction that has taken place in our institution over the last 5 years has vastly exceeded everything that was done in the preceding 130 years of poor relief activity. Let me repeat it, Madam Speaker. What this administration has done since 2016, the collective 130 years of the poor relief system has not benefited as much as the system now has benefited under this government. The drop-in centers that have been built in Hanover St. Anne, St. Thomas, Trelawney, St. Mary, St. Elizabeth, and in Linstead, St. Catherine. The new male and female wards that have been built in St. James, Portland, Manchester, the new administrative building in St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, you name it, Madam Speaker, we have seen intense investment in the poor and destitute under Andrew Holness stewardship. These unprecedented level of infrastructure development were implemented at a cost of over $1.4 billion, and they reflect the work of a government that is totally committed to the vulnerable population of this country. Madam Speaker, the staff and the system of the infirmary care system was put to test by COVID-19. And I want to specially commend our workers across the country for the level of professionalism that they continue to show at a critical time in the country's history. The system was rapidly put in place in our infirmaries to protect the elderly who are the most vulnerable globally. New health requirements such as screening, entry protocols, restriction on administration and visit, new cleaning and sanitizing schedule were implemented. As Jamaica entered the community spread of the disease, the first case emerged in September last year, following a positive result on members of staff and subsequently a male residents at the infirmary. The largest outbreak occurred at Vineyard Town, which saw 66 residents infected at once. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker and colleague, the first recorded death in the facility occurred on October 27, 2020. To date, Madam Speaker, 220 persons have been infected with 11 deaths recorded. The Denham Town Golden Age Home is the only facility that has not recorded a positive case of COVID-19, Madam Speaker, the Denham Town Golden Age Home. Madam Speaker, we grieve at the fact that any loss of life occurred at the same time. I am really heartened that the mortality rate in our care facility in Jamaica is absolutely one of the lowest in the Caribbean, Latin America, North America, and I go as far as Europe, Madam Speaker, because the team that worked took care to protect that vulnerable population in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, the health protocol has been effective, while we fully understand the desire of relatives to visit and to make contact. We will have the necessary restrictions remain in place. But I want to publicly say thank you to the families of all these residents for your understanding and for the role that you play in maintaining the protocol. I want to also urge them to continue to use the system that we have put in place using virtual connectivity to communicate with your loved ones, Madam Speaker. And I think it has worked and it will continue to work. Madam Speaker, no praise is too great for the Ministry of Health and Wellness, led by my colleague, Minister Tufton. We work closely together, Madam Speaker. Work closely, fighting dengue. And then we put our resources together in the fight against COVID. Madam Speaker, the role of the councillors in this effort cannot be overstated. They have played a vital role in COVID-19, the public vaccination drive. And we have seen the effectiveness of the elected representative, the councillors, Madam Speaker, in their performance in the distribution of the care package program, which this administration provided $280 million to the local elected representatives, Madam Speaker. And I must tell you, Madam Speaker, as their councillor-in-chief, I am pleased that there has not been one report of any partisan distribution of the care package program undertaken by the councillors within the municipalities across the country. Madam Speaker, this administration has invested a lot in our homeless population. The scope of the activities and the level of investment and the physical accommodation for the homeless has no comparison. We started a special feeding program in March 2020 in all the parishes. Again, the government provided $100 million. This program will continue, and it is structured towards the provisions of meals for the homeless population across the country on a daily basis. 2 meals a day and a care package is given to over 3,000 persons who are living on the streets across the country, Madam Speaker. In Kingston, Church Street Shelter Soup Kitchen was renovated and equipped at a cost of $6.3 million. It is the hub for the preparation and distribution of meals across the corporate area. A bathroom facility was built at Spanish Town Care Center to accommodate the homeless at a cost of $2.9 million, Madam Speaker. It is plain, it pains me deeply, while we are making to try to improve the condition of our homeless citizens, there are uncaring and wicked, cold-hearted persons who are going around assaulting, beating, killing them on the streets as they sleep. In January, 6 homeless men were attacked in the corporate area. 4 of them died from chop wounds. Last month, an 83-year-old homeless man was killed in Port Antonio. Someone used a block to smash his head in, Madam Speaker. I condemn these acts of cruelty against a defenseless set of Jamaicans and call on Jamaicans to renew and to treat these people with the respect and the dignity that they deserve, despite the fact that they live on our streets, Madam Speaker. The Poor Relief Department continues to nurture and support some of the nation's brightest students who are full of potential but lack the resources to unleash it. These students receive assistance for lunch, transportation, examination fees, books, uniforms, medication, amongst other services. Since 2016, the Ministry of Local Government, through the Poor Relief Department, started to provide grants for children served by Poor Relief who have excelled academically. The Poor Relief Department has helped to fulfill the dreams of many from poor families. We who have gone on to be shining examples of excellence. I just want to mention a few, Madam Speaker. Damar Mackenzie, a medical doctor at Kingston Public Hospital, was assisted by the Poor Relief Department in St. Anne after his mother suffered from chronic heart condition which left her unable to work. Torn Francis, a maths teacher at Marcus Garvey Technical High. Shauna K. Perrier, a graduate of G.C. Foster College who now teaches at Spot Valley High School. She was supported by the St. James Municipal Poor Relief Department. Mistress Diana Sutherland, who was assisted by the St. Elizabeth Poor Relief Department. She is now the principal revenue financial officer at the same municipality that offered her assistance to go to school, Madam Speaker. And Tranique Somerville, who is a student at the Norman Manley Law School and is being assisted by the Westmoreland Poor Relief Department. And I can't leave myself out of it. From my own constituency, Ronaldo Facey, a brilliant young man from Denham Town, who is attending one of the most prestigious university in America, Drexel University in Philadelphia, pursuing his medicine, his degree in becoming a doctor, Madam Speaker. He was assisted by the KSMAC, and I want to associate myself in it, Madam Speaker. The role of the councillors in the Poor Relief Department in advancing our children and young people in this way is vital. Their development extends beyond themselves and their families and have benefited their community and country. I cannot end this discussion about the role of local government without mentioning the social, economic recovery and vaccine serve, the Jamaica digital device component, of which, Madam Speaker, $140 million will be provided for councillors to assist in providing tablets for students going back to school, Madam Speaker. In his absence, I must hail the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Dr. Nigel Clark, and I'm going to assign him a nickname, and I hope that he will accept it. As far as I'm concerned, Minister Clark has become a godfather to local government. He has enabled this ministry to widen and deepen its services in a way that has never been done before. And I must express my deep gratitude on behalf of the local government fraternity and the people of Jamaica for what he's doing to assist local government. The tablet initiative will be further supplemented, Madam Speaker, by the annual education grant of another $140 million that will be made available to councillors. This will bring the total amount for educational support to councillors in this new financial year, Madam Speaker, to 280 million Jamaican dollars. Never in the history of local government has so much has been done for our elected representatives to achieve their objective in serving the people who they represent. Madam Speaker, we continue to work on infrastructure development, institutional strengthening. This year, a new kitchen will be built at the Anova Infirmary at a cost of $12 million. Renovation work will take place at the George Abrams Home in Augustown in Eastern St. Andrew at a cost of $6 million, Madam Speaker. Some $18 million will be spent to renovate the Denham Town Golden Age Home. Over $25 million will be spent on building new night shelters in Falmouth, in Trelawney, and in Ocherius, in St. Ann, in this financial year, Madam Speaker. Additionally, we will continue the installation of CCTV systems across the infirmaries. New therapeutic park, which we started 2 years ago, will continue, one in St. Catherine and one in St. Mary at a cost of $4.4 million, Madam Speaker. The construction has started on the special facility for the homeless here in the corporate area. The work will cost $30 million, and it is projected to be completed in August of this year, and it is going to be completed on time and within the budget that was allocated by the ministry, Madam Speaker. Therefore, anyone who claims that the government intends to abolish poor relief or to undermine the due care of our destitute, I say, as the late Prime Minister who used to lead that side, Michael Manley, would have said, the most honorable Michael Manley, mash down that lie. This is a government that cares and will always be seeking to do more for our vulnerable citizens. Madam Speaker, in this year's budget, the godfather of local government, recognizing the need of these destitute people, $154 million will be provided to feed the homeless, destitute population in this financial year, Madam Speaker. Our agencies have performed well under trying circumstances. The Social Development Commission is an inspiration and an example of competence and commitment to the national development through community transformation. It has not always been so for many years. The agency was left to languish, starve of resources, to return it to the glory of its early years. That is why, at an event in Manchester and Mandeville in 2016, I appealed to the then Minister of Finance, my good friend from Manchester, Minister Shaw, about the plight of the SDC, and he opened his arms, Madam Speaker, and embraced the request that we made. Since then, there's no looking back, no turning back for the Social Development Commission. The agency is performing well under good leadership. Since the advent of COVID-19, its performance has been simply tremendous. I must commend the executive director and his team for the indispensable work that has been done and they are still doing in conducting field research island-wide, working with the ADPEM, monitoring compliance, and developing many of the protocols that have been approved by Cabinet for managing the pandemic. These activities did not, Madam Speaker, prevent the SDC from executing its local economic development function. The agency, through this support program, provide training and business support for some 394 local economic initiatives, which generate employment for 1,650 people. They also gave support to the economic incentive through $1 million of COVID grant. In response to the pandemic and the loss of sale for some local young entrepreneurs, the SDC revamped its business fair model, rebranded its community markets and business fair. They held, Madam Speaker, 45 of these fairs, which attracted a much wide cross-section of local business people, including farmers, distributors. This initiative, Madam Speaker, resulted in a total earning for those who participated in the program of some $67 million, Madam Speaker. So this is what you get, Madam Speaker, when the real support to the organs of government. This is the result of sound leadership, fresh thinking, dedicated people who have been given the tools to perform by this administration, Madam Speaker. The National Solid Waste Management Authority continues to perform impressively. And I want to specially recognize the agency, the workers who have been out there during COVID, Madam Speaker, going into the various communities to collect the garbage. I want to publicly and ask this House to give our appreciation to the workers of the National Solid Waste Management Authority. The agency continues to be an outstanding example of what can be achieved with major investment from central government. Bold and innovative leadership and a dedicated workforce form, Madam Speaker, what I would consider to be one of the worst run government entity that this country have ever seen. When you talk about solid waste, it's nothing good you used to talk about. But what we have seen, Madam Speaker, is that this organization, under steady leadership, has turned around its activity. They have been awarded this year in the Corporate Governance Award more than one award for being an organization that continues to demonstrate its ability to comply with the requirements of government. And I want to thank them and I want to commend them, Madam Speaker. They have cleaned up their act and their credibility continues to grow amongst many Jamaicans. They collected 1,014,000 tons of waste in the last financial year at a cost of nearly $1.9 billion. To further promote clean public space, a mobile app was developed to report littering in public spaces and illegal dumping. As a result, the MSWMA was able to conclude 71% of its investigation into illegal dump sites identified across the island. the public have been responding in a positive way to the app, with over 110 notifications and images submitted regarding illegal dump sites, Madam Speaker. The mobile app has also allowed the MSWMA to establish an aggressive 24-48 hours response time to notification served about the delay in garbage collection and littering as a result of the ongoing sensitization about proper containment of waste and commercial waste. Commercial compliance is at 86%. Residential compliance is at a high of 94%, and the Jamaican people must take a bow for that. The important work was also done to remove plastic waste from the environment through the Raytown Plastic Minimization Project funded by the Japanese government under the United Nations Environmental Program. Nearly 17,000 pounds of plastic was collected. 16 environmental wardens were trained in plastic separation, plastic recycling, and community sensitization about solid waste disposal. Another plastic waste collection project in St. Andrew North and the Eastern Belt Initiative yielded over some 82,000 pounds of plastic. Madam Speaker, at a time when the national revenues have been hit hard by the pandemic, the National Solid Waste Management Authority continues to demonstrate sound management by earning its own resources, amounting to nearly $440 million in the last financial year, Madam Speaker, an increase over last year. I congratulate the MSWMA, and I urge the public to do its part to make our communities and public space consistently clean, Madam Speaker. I now turn to the Jamaica Fire Brigade. The important role of the JFB in protecting lives and property has been exceeded only by the dedication of the people who make up this agency. I salute the leadership, the administrative staff, the frontline firefighters who responded at a moment's call. Madam Speaker, it was the fire brigade that acted in the first week of May. Criminals abducted a taximan, and all of us know that he was dumped into a 55 feet deep pit and left for dead. 17 firefighters, Madam Speaker, responded to the call. They went to the location, and one out of the 17, he was not forced to. No order was given. He offered himself, Madam Speaker. Acting Lance Corporal Dennis Taylor was lowered down into the pit, took hold of this man and offered assistance, and his colleagues was able to take him out of a dark hole, Madam Speaker. Rescued him, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, this government and the country accepts and appreciates that that was done beyond the call of duty. And we, Madam Speaker, in due course, will acknowledge the men and women for their bravery. Madam Speaker, they are inspired to perform because this government has made it possible, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have invested more than $5 billion in the Jamaica Fire Brigade since 2016. This year, the acquisition of new equipment will enter a new technological dimension. The Fire Brigade will launch an unmanned aerial vehicle program. Under this program, they will purchase 2 drones.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the standing orders be suspended to enable the minister to continue his speech, and I ask for the minister to complete his speech. Madam Speaker, thank you.
The question before the House is that the minister be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Please don't. Please don't. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was saying that the purchase of these 2 new drones will assist the surveillance and search and rescue exercise, as well as fire and other emergency. The situation, the program, which will be the first, Madam Speaker, the first the Jamaica Fire Brigade will extend into this level of technology, because this is a government that understands the needs, Madam Speaker. We are continuing to make significant and historical level of investment in equipment and fire stations. Madam Speaker, the conclusion of the construction of the 3 new stations, which should have been completed some time ago. But I'm pleased to advise the House that the Barnett Street station that is being built at a cost of $335 million will be completed in July of this year. Yalas, being built at $113 million, will be completed in June, next month, June, Madam Speaker. And the same for the Port Maria, which cost $217, that is set to be completed in July of this year, Madam Speaker. Over in St. Catherine, a brand new fire station is being built, Madam Speaker, at a cost of $59.7 million, Madam Speaker. I am pleased to announce, after many years, Papine will now see the dream of a fire station. A major step has been taken. The University of the West Indies has formally agreed to allow sections of its property to be used to base a fire station. The lands have been identified, Madam Speaker, and the paperwork has commenced. And in short order, I will be announcing, Madam Speaker, the construction of a brand new fire station in the corporate area in Papine in St. Andrew, Madam Speaker. And not to leave you out, South Trelawney, Ulster Spring, lands have been located, and the paperwork has commenced, Madam Speaker, for the construction of a fire station. Madam Speaker, I hear the cry of Portmore, and it is not lost, Madam Speaker. I hear the cry of Balaclava in St. Elizabeth, Madam Speaker. This is a government that has performed, and I will say no more. Balaclava, Portmore, look out, here we come. Madam Speaker, on a very lighter note, on a very more serious note on fire, Madam Speaker. The cost of house fire and industrial fires and other types of fires to the Jamaican economy and society remain very high. Last year, the brigade responded to some 13,784 fire calls across the island. As a result, 31 persons lost their lives. 89 were injured, Madam Speaker. The loss in terms of the overall effects, 1,776 persons lost their homes or otherwise were displaced. To put it in greater context, over the last 5 years, and the country need to pay attention, over the last 5 years, 62,887 fire calls were received, Madam Speaker. As a result, 168 Jamaicans perish because of fire. 411, including 94 firefighters, were injured. Some 10,826 people were displaced due to fire since 2016. Madam Speaker, one of the frightening things about our responsibility as a country, malicious calls, crank calls, Madam Speaker. In 2016, there was 1,077. 2017, 1,071. 2018, 1,300. In 2019, 1,204. And as I said before, in 2020, 1,119. And overall, prank calls of 5,774, wasting precious time, wasting gasoline. I am urging the Jamaican people, let us become more responsible, because any false call can result in some serious implications for the brigade. And I want to assure the House that the accident that took place in Trelawney, we are glad that there was no loss of life or any damage. And the investigations are continuing as to the real causes. But I would ask the country not to be judgmental, but to understand and to accept that after many years, the brigade has been operating under budget without the requisite tools to carry out its responsibility, Madam Speaker. And since 2016, we have turned the corner and we are making a difference, Madam Speaker. Rural water is a new addition to the ministry. And I want to recognize the professional and energetic team at Rural Water who continue to deliver on the mandate to improve access to potable water in rural communities. Major projects were completed in Plattfield Water System in St. Mary, which includes house connections, Mount Vernon, Clark Castle, as well as Loading Bay, to serve borders and surrounding communities. Over 4,000 persons in rural Jamaica are benefiting from this project. Rural Water Supply Limited has also installed water systems in over 22 communities in 8 parishes, and now over 33,000 persons in rural Jamaica are enjoying vastly improved water supply as a result of the work of the Rural Water Agency, Madam Speaker. The agency has installed catchment tanks and black tanks in many communities and installed rainwater harvesting, pumping facilities, wash stations. Over 25 public schools around the island have benefited. This year, the government will provide some $215 million to be spent to complete other projects that will benefit 20,000 additional people across the parishes of St. Catherine, St. Anne, Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Portland, St. James. The Ministry of Local Government will also set aside an additional $110 million to construct water shops so that the parishes, Madam Speaker, that will benefit from these water shops will fall under the local rural development program. A total, Madam Speaker, of some $325 million will be provided for rural communities across the country to improve its water supplies, Madam Speaker. This is a government that continues to deliver. Rural electrification is a new portfolio subject. Minister Davis has responsibility for the water and rural electrification and other aspects of community development. We are implementing this, Madam Speaker, with pace. The program started before. You have some MPs who have benefited from it, Madam Speaker. The ministry will be financing an island-wide rural electrification program to the tune of $189 million, which is being implemented by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, who has been working closely with the program, and we want to continue that partnership, Madam Program. The program is designed to facilitate communities who want to be legally connected to the electricity grid, but who are not able to find the money to wire and to certify their homes. When the houses are wired and certified, this will enable these families to enter into a formal agreement with the Jamaica Public Service Company. Members of Parliament, and we're going to include recommendation from councillors, will be asked to be a part of this program, where we are trying to improve the standard of life, the standard of living, especially in rural Jamaica. JSIF have already completed community assessment on 500 houses in various communities, and this program will transform families and community life as we roll this program over the next 3 years. It is about changing the character of communities through legitimate access to resources. It is about reducing vulnerability to fire by putting an end to the need for candles and lamps to provide lighting in a modern age, Madam Speaker.
That's right.
I just want to spend 2 minutes on the streetlight situation, Madam Speaker. I did say last year that I'm unhappy with the pace of the street lighting exercise. We have been having meetings with the Jamaica Public Service Company to iron out this vexed issue, Madam Speaker. They have indicated that so far they have installed in excess of 80,000 lights across the country. My friend from East Kingston and Port Royal said that he has not seen the lights. So I am just saying that based on their numbers, they have installed over 80,000 lights. But, Madam Speaker, it is not just the installation of the lights that is a problem. The agreement, condition 28 of the license that was agreed on between the then government and the then Minister of Energy is that there would have been a system that would have been put in place that would allow the lights to regulate itself. Dim when there is a need, automatically report when the lights are out, put in video systems that would facilitate surveillance. All of these measures were put in, Madam Speaker. Some of these systems have not yet been established. And I have asked again my permanent secretary to ask the JPS to come again to sit with us. Because this government, in good faith 2 years ago, when the godfather of local government, the Minister of Finance, found the money, $9 billion was paid to liquidate the outstanding debts owed to the Jamaica Public Service Company, Madam Speaker. And we are expecting that the JPS will return the good faith that this administration has demonstrated. The member spoke about savings from the installation of lights. And I want to clear up that because there seems to be some misunderstanding in the public domain. There's nowhere in the license that the then minister signed that spoke about anything to do with savings, Madam Speaker. It is not written in the license. What it speaks about, Madam Speaker, is what would happen. He stated that it was written that the smart street light would result in saving of 1 billion, 2.8 billion, 1.4 billion. That license that was issued under his signature as minister in 2016, not included in it. And while we agree that the installation of those new lights, Madam Speaker, should also result in some reduction, we must also remember that over the last couple of years, more brand new lights, Madam Speaker, would have been installed. So whatever we would have considered to be savings would have gone in installing new lights. I intend to, member, to engage you in some discussions on this matter so that we have clarity as it surrounds the Jamaica Public Service Company. But to say, Madam Speaker,
there is a new spokesman on energy.
But to say, Madam Speaker, that while we are talking about installation of lights, the Jamaican people must pay their part. Over some 700 of the brand new lights have been stolen, Madam Speaker. Over 700. So it is not fair to say that enough is not being done. And you can give it in one hand and take it away in the other hand, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, coming up, wrapping up. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management continue to demonstrate its immense value as Jamaica's disaster management agency since the National Disaster Risk Management Council was activated on March 5th last year. ADPEM has been at the forefront on the fight against COVID-19. And I want to remind this Honorable House and country that ADPEM is the lead agency that activates the provisions of the Disaster Risk Act, which is primarily the legislative tool being used to manage the pandemic. The agency's work is indispensable to the situational assessment and protocol management process across the country. And it is a vital part of the intergovernmental team that access applications for sporting and related events. And I'm proud, Madam Speaker, of this agency for the steadfast and stellar work it's doing. The work includes the coordination efforts being made by the government of Jamaica to assist our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Madam Speaker. The agency coordinated the relief supplies, where over some 35 million Jamaican dollars worth of supplies was shipped to St. Vincent, and I want to thank the Bahamian Defense Force for assisting in transporting the supply, and also the Jamaica Defense Force. The ADPEM has also started an account where over some $3.2 million have been contributed by Jamaicans to the cause of our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent. There are reports published in some media that suggest that the ADPEM was suffering from ministerial overreach.
What?
And that its budgetary processes were being hijacked for unusual and unjustified expenses, such as town hall meetings.
What?
It was further suggested that the Andrew Holness administration is milking the ADPEM, which was described by one newspaper as a cash cow. Madam Speaker, I have chosen to refute these baseless claims in this House as a representative of the people and in the presence of all my colleagues who together represent the people of Jamaica. I want the country, the people of this country, to know that their government is doing nothing immoral, illegal, or in any way breach of policy at ADPEM. A cash cow is an entity that earns substantial incomes from its activity, and the ADPEM has never been one. The agency will every now and again rent some tents and get a small amount. It is since the advent of the Andrew Holness administration we have pumped over $1.5 billion into ADPEM, Madam Speaker, to ensure its effectiveness to all natural threats and disasters we have experienced, from drought to heavy rain, etc., Madam Speaker. The ADPEM has never experienced this level of investment from the public purse, and it is reflected in the positive change that this government promised when we assume office. On the subject of change, there are those who believe and argue that the practice have gone on for many years should still simply continue, and any change is seen as suspicious, corrupt, or political interference. In my experience as a minister, this argument has been around since Matthew, when we stayed and we worked with the then Director General to advise the country on the passage of the hurricane. And some people felt it was political interference. Let me say that nobody never have to ask, where is the minister? When there was a certain disaster in this country, the country was asking, where is the minister? And we understand the minister was elsewhere. Madam Speaker, we value the work of the ADPEM. And I am saying and denying, putting to rest any claims of political interference within the ADPEM, Madam Speaker. It is mischief, Madam Speaker, and we don't want to be a part of the mischief, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, we are now getting ready to meet the new hurricane season. It is expected, Madam Speaker, that this season will be very active, and there is some new information that has been provided by the Colorado State University. It is anticipated that 17 new storms, 8 hurricanes, 4 of which are expected to be of major category, and this is being classified as being from 3 to 5 in strength. The ADPEM will shortly roll out its national hurricane preparedness program, and our disaster coordinators have been doing all the things necessary to secure shelters during the period and ensure that the isolation wards are in place, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our commitment is to make the ADPEM stronger, and we will continue to do so, Madam Speaker. The Youth Summer Employment Program continues to be a critical employer of young people island-wide, and it continues, Madam Speaker, since its inception to provide jobs. Madam Speaker, since the program started 5 years ago, 21,000 young Jamaicans have benefited out of this program, Madam Speaker, making it the largest government youth employment program of its kind, Madam Speaker. And I dare to say it may be one of the largest in the Caribbean. This year, Madam Speaker, despite COVID, 5,000 young people were employed last year, Madam Speaker. And this year, we will increase the numbers to 6,000 young people, Madam Speaker, paying them for 1 month, which commenced in August at 40,000 Jamaican dollars, Madam Speaker. That will go a far way, Madam Speaker, in helping many young people, especially going back to school. I cannot conclude this address without mentioning the tremendous work of the municipal corporations since the pandemic. Financially, they are wearing pants without pockets. Their income would normally be up from amusement fees and other own source revenue. The local authorities, Madam Speaker, in executing their responsibility, a total of 5,691 applications for building permits were received, reflecting an investment value of 203.1 billion Jamaican dollars. To note, 89% of the applications were received for small and large residential development, 6 for commercial development, and 1.3 for institutional projects. At the same time, the local authorities, despite challenges, issued some 4,580 building permits, reflecting total investment of $159.1 billion, Madam Speaker, and I must commend them because 90% of those applications were completed in 90 days, Madam Speaker, and I want to commend them, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this year we are going to be dedicating a little bit more money for roads. Some $350 million will be spent on roads across the country through the local authorities. I know that might not be a lot, Madam Speaker, but we are doing as best as we can within the limitation of the resources, and we will continue to see those kind of investment, Madam Speaker. I want now to turn to my final part of the presentation, Madam Speaker, where we are looking at the government's contribution to community development. We lost the momentum in the construction of community parks, and we have completed the Ulster Spring Park in Trelawney, and just quite recently, I had the pleasure of breaking grounds with the Most Honourable Prime Minister in West Central St. Andrew for the Andrew Muse Community Park, which is going to be a new feature of community development under the Ministry of Local Government. Madam Speaker, I want to again, Madam Speaker, thank those persons who have worked with us. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is responding in real time. I now want to announce a new program under rural development, Madam Speaker, which will see these programs providing substantial employment for persons right across the country. I want to announce a rural development program which will be headed, as I said, under the portfolio responsibility of Minister Davis, where we will be spending some $650 million to develop communities in various parts of the island. The program will be piloted in Chambers Pen in Western Hanover, Madam Speaker, and will cover Cheesefield in St. Catherine, Cheswick in Western St. Thomas, Lawrence Tavern in West Rural St. Andrew, and also in Southwest Clarendon, Madam Speaker. The program will include, Madam Speaker, the installation of water, electricity, internet access, roads, sidewalks, community park, indigent housing. We will use this program to give new life to rural communities over the next 2 years, Madam Speaker. Let me emphasize that this program will create temporary and permanent employment opportunity right across the country, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Minister of Finance announced an initiative in his budget presentation. Paint the city, paint the town. A new concept in bringing life to rural towns across Jamaica, Madam Speaker. Some 300 million will be spent on the first phase of the program. And I'm having discussion with the minister because we want to continue the program after we have completed it. We will begin in the parish of Kingston and St. Andrew, Maypen in Clarendon, Buff Bay and Port Antonio in Portland in the first phase of the program, Madam Speaker. The Paint the City, Paint the Town will provide some 2,000 jobs right across, Madam Speaker. And in some cases, it will become permanent employment for the maintenance of these facilities. We will look, Madam Speaker, at mural paintings, installations of signs, improvement to selected markets. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to assure the country that this is not a pork barrel program. This will be a structured program that will be monitored and governed in a way that the Jamaican taxpayer will get value for the money arising out of this program. Madam Speaker, we continue to build. And I'm again proud to announce that this year we will be breaking grounds to provide more black and steel indigent housing for members of the vulnerable population. In this financial year, we will be building houses in West Central St. Andrew, Southwest St. Andrew, Eastern Westmoreland, Western Westmoreland, Northwest St. James, South St. James, Central St. Mary, Southeast St. Mary, and Central Kingston in the corporate area, Madam Speaker. This is a government, Madam Speaker. We promise 100 houses, Madam Speaker. We have gone 20 out of the 100. And we intend to build out, Madam Speaker, to provide for the poor and destitute. The Ministry of Local Government, in conclusion, Madam Speaker, is a part of an administration that has delivered sound leadership and tangible public goods and service to the people of Jamaica since 2016. The journey has not been easy, but a smooth ocean has never made a skilled sailor, Madam Speaker. We have made significant improvement to the lives of our citizens, and we are committed in doing much more. This government will not fall into complacency and set aside the trust and confidence of the people. In everything we have done, we have also worked hard to preserve and enhance the sound principles of governance. We will not allow transparency and accountability to play second fiddle to performance. The people and institution of local government has been severely tested, but the challenges have brought out our resilience and our resolve to increase our reach and the quality of service. With the commitment of the elected representatives, Madam Speaker, And before I close, I want to mention quickly the passing over the last 3 years of councillors. We lost Councillor Wesley Suku in 2019, Councillor Milton Brown in 2020, Councillor Brown in Portland in 2020, Councillor Darren Wood from Portland in 2021, Councillor Ivan McCormack, who passed quite recently. All of these local government practitioners collectively have given over 60 years of service to the people of Jamaica in their respective divisions, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we will achieve giving the energy to cross boundaries and to break barriers and to implement new ideas for national development. We are motivated by the words of a former British Prime Minister. We shall not fail nor falter. We shall not weaken or rest. Neither the sudden shock of battle nor the long-drawn trails of vigilance and exertion will wear us down. Give us the tools. We will finish the job, because under Andrew Holness, Jamaica is in safe hands. God bless you.
Madam Speaker, let me first of all give honor and glory to Almighty God, the creator of all things. Great is his faithfulness and mighty power which has brought us through a challenging year. I'm reminded of Jeremiah 29, verse 11, which states, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and future." I acknowledge the master builder of our new, bold, and brighter future, our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. We hail his inspiring and steady leadership in such a tumultuous time. I'm energized by the support of my beautiful family. I am strengthened each day by my wife Anne-Marie as we work shoulder to shoulder to create a brighter future for the people of Portland. I'm grateful for the support of my children and my new grandchild, who are the wind beneath my wings. To the people of West Portland, whose unfailing confidence in me as their Member of Parliament fuels my motivation to do this work. My constituency leadership and workers who are advancing the development of our communities and ensuring the lives of the residents of West Portland are made better each day. I've had the honor to represent the people of West Portland for 14 unbroken years and 4 separate elections, winning 4 separate elections. To my internal team, ministry team headed by Permanent Secretary Mrs. Carol Palmer, and whose astute management I rely to implement government policies and programs with transparency, accountability, and in full observance of good governance. The leadership and staff across all entities in the Ministry of Science, Energy, and Technology who are effectively executing the charge for innovation and development to fuel the growth of this country. My boards, in particular at the leadership level, I wish to especially recognize the stewardship of Dr. Paris Leoai. For the science portfolio, Mr. Wayne Chen for energy, and Mr. Keith Duncan for the technology portfolio. I'm grateful for the support of the Honorable Michael Leachin, my advisor on the National Broadband Initiative and chair of the Broadband Task Force. Our international partners, including the United States Embassy, British High Commission, European Union, Canadian High Commission, Republic of Estonia, the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, and the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Let me at this point thank the former heads of mission of the US, the EU, and Canada, and to welcome the new heads. I'm confident that the good relationships, cooperation, and collaboration will continue. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of Mrs. Teresa Turner-Jones, who leads the IDB team on some critical initiatives working with the ministry. I could not ignore the pivotal role of our own private sector, whose collaboration, cooperation, and contribution supported various initiatives through this fiscal year. Madam Speaker, I'm inspired by my parliamentary colleagues on both sides of the political aisle. Our ability to be in tune with the needs of the people earned us a significant investment in public confidence some 8 months ago. I'm even more proud of my colleagues on this side. From the achievements outlined in the budget and sectoral presentation so far, this investment has not been squandered. We're encouraged to put pedal to the metal to build a brighter future. Madam Speaker, the people of Jamaica have chosen a winning team, and Jamaica will be the beneficiaries. Madam Speaker, it will be remiss of me not to acknowledge you, the new Speaker of the House, and the excellent job that you are doing despite the challenges. The Clerk of the Houses and the staff, as well as the security officers who have kept us feeling safe. This year was very difficult, but we managed to continue with the nation's business because of the commitment and dedication of the parliamentary team here. Madam Speaker, I rise to make my main presentation as Minister of Science, Energy, and Technology. That's right. With the weight of the times on my shoulders, with the uncertainties of today in mind, and with the hope of the future in sight. This country stands on the cusp of a new era, as like the rest of the world, confronts the greatest challenge to have faced humanity in our lifetime. It is a challenge that impacts every single Jamaican everywhere, in every nook and cranny of this country, no matter their station in life, no matter their circumstances. It is a challenge that threatens to destroy our optimism, our sense of hope, and our confidence as a people and as a nation. I must pause, as my colleague before me did, to commend the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the capable team led by Minister Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie, Permanent Secretary Dunstan Bryan, and the entire staff of the ministry, especially the impressive complement of diligent healthcare professionals who rise every day unrelenting in their efforts to subdue this pandemic. Their bravery, care, and commitment restores the hope of this nation. Despite facing, at times, severe criticisms, we are thankful for where we are today, as our situation could have been much worse. Madam Speaker, this is a time like no other when we in this honorable House need to forget our differences and our politics. We need to put our minds together and develop and implement the greatest rescue plan for the people of Jamaica. We need a whole-of-country approach, a coming together of our hearts and our minds, our creativity, our common will, and our common desire to survive and to succeed. We must forget our different philosophies, our old grudges. We must put aside bad mind, the things that divide us, and we must remember the confidence that the people of Jamaica have reposed in us to lift them up and take them into a bold and brighter future. Madam Speaker, on that there should be no division in this honorable House. The collective pain of our people, the disruption to our lives, the grief caused by the loss of our loved ones must spur us to action, must motivate us to do the impossible, because, Madam Speaker, that is what leaders do. We must find solutions to return the 120,000 school children who have fallen out of the system to the learning space. This is not just the sole responsibility of the Ministry and Minister of Education, Youth and Information. We must find them or face one of the greatest humanitarian disasters that this country will ever see in the not-too-distant future. We at the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology are prepared to move the ground to provide the technological resources to connect those children. That is what the Last Mile Initiative is all about. Madam Speaker, even as we face down COVID-19, we also face a world that is changing at lightning speed across the sectors of science, energy, and technology. Three significant portfolios on which the future and fortune of this country stands. The unprecedented global developments in the sectors are disrupting the way businesses operate and the way people connect. Artificial intelligence, gene editing, clean energy are areas that are being impacted in ways that we have not seen in the last 50 years. Madam Speaker, it is within that context of a pandemic, of scientific explosion, of energy revolution and technological advancements that we need to position Jamaica in a new, bold, and bright future. Madam Speaker, science is an essential cornerstone in the creation of a modern society. In keeping with our commitments from the last fiscal year, we have made progress in advancing the policy framework for science, which is required to move the national agenda for the sector forward. The National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy, currently at the Green Paper stage, is being amended based on public feedback to move to the next policy stage, which is the development of a white paper. Once promulgated, the STNI policy will create an enabling and supporting environment for the integration of STNI in national development. A database of research projects aligned to the STNI policy priorities will also be created. The ministry is in the process of completing the STNI mapping that will give us a good grasp of the landscape and to assist us in determining resources that are required to achieve the national agenda in science, technology, and innovation. When concluding, we'll be in a position to create a strong STNI ecosystem. Madam Speaker, last fiscal year, we gave a commitment to strengthen support to climate change initiatives. Ministry has delivered on its commitment. During the 2021 fiscal year, the International Center for Environmental and Nuclear Science, ICENS, commenced the sampling phase of the regional project known as assessing atmospheric aerosol components in urban areas to improve air pollution and climate change. This is being done under the aegis of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA. The long-term air quality of the urban environment in the Kingston metropolitan area is being sampled. The sampling is done using air quality samplers housed at the National Environmental and Planning Agency. The pandemic also provided a unique opportunity to sample the KMA when vehicular traffic levels were low for protracted periods. This will help to determine the contribution of traffic to particulate matters in the urban environment in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, we recorded an important first with the production of the greenhouse gas inventory for forestry and other land use sector. This was done through the collaboration with the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute and the Forestry Department. During the year, ICENS also measured soil carbon stocks and monitored soil-based greenhouse gas emissions from agricultural lands, mangrove, and forest across Jamaica. Madam Speaker, the NCST commissioned a survey of the COVID-19 experience in Jamaica. The study interviewed 106 persons affected by the COVID-19 virus and was conducted to encourage more research on COVID-19, tailored to our own reality and provide useful information for public consumption. This was done in collaboration with the National Foundation for Development of Science. The NCST has received a draft report on a feasibility study on the concept of a science and technology park in Jamaica. The report is under review and Parliament will be further updated. The NCST has developed a concept paper to support youth engagement in international science and technology projects. This is being done under the Jamaica South Africa Bilateral Agreement in consultation with the South African High Commission and the Center for Digital and Advanced Manufacturing. The ministry will utilize its best efforts to start the science division to allow for proper strategic leadership of the portfolio. Madam Speaker, I'm also putting my colleague, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, on notice that we'll be implementing a robust plan for popularization of science in schools, and I know that it's a matter that is very near and dear to her heart. The mandate of the Scientific Research Council includes the popularization of science and assisting MSMEs. We're looking at a more targeted and focused business engagement plan to get research commercialized, especially our different formulations through public-private partnerships. The new direction is influenced by a fundamental belief that science is big business and that as we popularize science and get young people excited and energized about the possibilities in the field, we are also fulfilling the promise on the back end of the good jobs and the good money. If our science professionals are convinced of a bright future and a decent livelihood, they'll be less likely to leave the profession and leave Jamaica. Madam Speaker, let me turn to the energy sector. Again, there are big, bold strides being made globally in renewable energy, in e-mobility, and in a whole set of related industries, such as advanced batteries and automation. Madam Speaker, I take note of a number of recommendations that have been placed on the table by my colleague opposition spokesperson on mining and energy. Let me remind this Honourable House that we re-established the Jamaica Energy Council. It was set up to achieve consensus and minimize the negative influence of partisan and other forms of special interest groups and individuals in the energy sector. I believe that this presents the best forum for thoughtful deliberation of the matters raised by the opposition spokesperson. Later in the presentation, I'll provide an update on the legislative provisions relating to the energy portfolio. And just to say, Madam Speaker, that I still maintain a collaborative approach in relation to the opposition spokespersons, two of which I have to meet from time to time and consult from time to time, as I think that that is an important part of good governance. Madam Speaker, here's what I'm clear about. The energy sector needs a robust policy, legislative and regulatory framework that addresses matters relating to renewable energy, e-mobility, pricing and competition, the whole gamut of issues relevant to the development of the sector. We are making progress on this legislation as it relates to the petroleum downstream activities bills. Further instructions have been provided to the Chief Parliamentary Council based on the input received from consultations with the trade. As it relates to net billing and power wheeling regulations, the ministry is in the process of consultations for sign-off of the net billing regulations. The ministry is also preparing draft instructions for legislative provisions for power wheeling. The delays encountered have more to do with the lack of technical capacity within the ministry, but that is being addressed as a matter of priority. In fact, Madam Speaker, we expect significant capacity strengthening in the end of division starting in a matter of weeks. Madam Speaker, the Joint Select Committee on the Electricity Act 2015 commenced its work some weeks ago under my chairmanship, again to strengthen the legislative provision governing the electricity sector. We look forward to robust discussions in the Joint Select Committee and to get to a point of completion in short order. Madam Speaker, recall also that Parliament approved the Electrical Work Registration and Licensing Regulations in furtherance of the Electricity Act 2015 in November 2020. The regulations will ensure transparency and predictability in the electricity sector and enforce improvements in the quality and standard prescribed by the industry. Madam Speaker, this administration is on record with its support for the competition in the electricity sector, but we will not be taking a piecemeal approach to the development of the sector. Conventional wisdom does not support that approach. The issues are way too significant. There's much too much at stake. The real benefits of having a strong energy ecosystem include the reset of our economy and placing our country in a position for sustainable development and wealth creation. Imagine, Madam Speaker, if we could reduce our dependence on oil by just 20%, that would represent a savings of $900 million over the last 3 years. Imagine, Madam Speaker, what that could do to bring 120,000 children into the school system. Imagine what that could do to support our last mile initiative to bring broadband access to every nook and cranny in Jamaica. Think, Madam Speaker, what that could do to expand access to renewable energy, not just for the poor, but for all Jamaicans. Think of the contribution, Madam Speaker, to reduce our carbon footprint, to provide ICT assets to our schools and to the less fortunate. Madam Speaker, we can't afford piecemeal. The pandemic does not give us that luxury. We intend to run big and bold into a new and brighter future. Madam Speaker, I look forward to the robust discussions and a quick path to the implementation, working through the Jamaica Energy Council and working shoulder to shoulder with my colleagues on the other side. Madam Speaker, I turn to electric mobility, the latest buzzword in the automobile industry. 2020 was considered a tipping point for electric vehicles globally. The world is in the fast lane to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles, which is understandable as road transport accounts for 13% of global carbon emissions. Zero-emission vehicles will therefore be the most efficient lever to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Decisions have been taken by automobile manufacturers to discontinue the manufacture of fossil fuel vehicles by 2030. Jamaica cannot and must not be left behind. We cannot become the dumping ground of the world for fossil fuel vehicles that will no longer be allowed in other jurisdictions. Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service has concluded its review of the fiscal regime to develop the e-mobility architecture and will proceed to seek the input of the Ministry of Science and Technology. Given the importance of the e-mobility to the economy, I am confident that the Ministry of Finance and Public Service will propose an effective fiscal regime. And by an effective fiscal regime, I would expect that there will be a duty structure that will make the consumers happy because it will be affordable. Madam Speaker, we continue to lay the foundation for an electromobility environment. We have established an electric vehicle council to oversee a consultative process on the introduction of electromobility. The council is not a decision-making body, but rather will give oversight. They will review any policies, legislation, and regulations related to deployment of EVs in Jamaica, comment and provide feedback on matters relating to safety and suitability of EV technologies contemplated for Jamaica, respond to queries or concerns from stakeholders within a reasonable time frame, and finally advise the Minister with responsibility for energy the extent to which the strategic framework is being implemented. The Council had its first meeting on May 14, 2021, and approved the e-mobility strategic framework. A working group was also established to oversee the implementation of the policy for this fiscal year. So, Madam Speaker, what I'm saying is that I am hopeful that we will have an implemented e-mobility policy by the end of this government's financial year, which ends March next year. The strategic framework, which will include the fiscal regime, will be placed before Cabinet for its consideration. Meanwhile, the Ministry intends to seek the approval of Cabinet for the overarching policy framework. Madam Speaker, I will update Parliament accordingly. In addition, the OUR will also be embarking on public consultations to examine proposals on a regulatory framework to facilitate the penetration of EVs. Jamaica is redefining the energy landscape to allow us to scale up actions to achieve energy security, energy efficiency, energy resilience, and greater energy investments in the country. As we speak, global investments are being leveraged to advance climate energy resilience and support the achievements of the Sustainable Development Goals, especially those related to affordable and clean energy, climate action, and sustainable cities and communities. It is very encouraging to see the reports of the establishment of charging stations in Jamaica. The development of the infrastructure is an important pillar in the e-mobility ecosystem. Madam Speaker, the scope and magnitude of the work which is required to implement e-mobility is wide-ranging, including policy and legislative framework for sectors such as financial, transport, energy, environment sectors. We must consider matters such as fuel economy, standard and economic instruments that support the deployment of e-mobility infrastructure. Madam Speaker, this is in fact a big deal. If we can achieve 12 to 16% conservatively e-mobility of our private and public fleet, the savings to Jamaica will equal 2% GDP, according to the IDB. Let's break down the figures, Madam Speaker. Based on 2020 GDP of $14.23 billion US, that savings would almost amount to approximately 284 million United States dollars. Madam Speaker, we're not about piecemeal approaches. We're about making big, bold strides in a brighter future for the Jamaican people. Madam Speaker, the work to modernize the electricity sector continues. During 2020, the renewable energy share increased 1% with the first full year of operation of the 8 Rivers Energy Company Limited, 37 megawatt solar PV plant, and commendable operations by the other independent power producers. The old age issue of electricity theft continues to dog the sector. It is estimated that theft accounts for about 15 to 17% of net generation. Over the years, several strategies have been implemented to address the issue, which has not resulted in sustained reduction in theft. The electricity theft in Jamaica is in underserved areas, but also includes residential, commercial, industrial customers who avoid paying their fair share of electricity. Because electricity theft is so complex, entrenched, and involves many players, and at many times significant collusions, its solution will need focused, scientific, technical-led answer plus significant moral suasion. Unfortunately, terminating electricity theft is not as simple as throwing a switch by using the hedge funding to purchase solar kits for those less able to self-fund. The ministry is approaching the issue from a policy perspective with the help from the IDB and a targeted community-based initiative in collaboration with the United States Agency for International Development. Madam Speaker, the Cabinet appointed a new leadership for the generation procurement entity with a mandate to undertake procurement of a new electricity generation capacity in accordance with the Electricity Act 2015. The entire energy sector hangs on the work of the GPE. The review of unsolicited proposals and requests for proposals to the market for a new generation must be accorded urgent priority by the GPE. We have recruited a chief technical expert to support the GPE, and we expect onboarding by July 1st, 2021. The GPE has been given the charge to get moving. We want to see a significant increase in our generation capacity and our renewable energy share based on the integrated resource plan. The IRP envisions 32% of generation and net load in 2030 to be met with renewable mixed and 49% of generation by 2037. The renewable mixed resources include solar, wind, waste-to-energy, and biomass, along with hydroelectric. Let me remind this Honourable House that IRP is the electricity roadmap for Jamaica under the period 2018 to 2037. It describes a preferred resource mix over 2 decades, which meets reliability of service, reduced cost of operation, fuel source diversity, electric grid flexibility, and the lowering of environmental carbon footprint. To place the work of the GPE in context, the country anticipates $2.8 million United States dollars in investment over the life of the plan, which will serve to modernize the electricity infrastructure, diversify fuel service, and institutionalize energy conservation and efficiency. There can be no delay in the work of the GPE to procure additional generation capacity to move the energy agenda forward into a new, bold, and brighter future. The IDB is providing assistance with the procurement. Madam Speaker, I'm well aware of the level of public interest about the delay in reviewing several unsolicited proposals, which could not have been acted upon until the GPE was settled. The public can expect for RFPs to go out within the next 6 months. That is the mandate that I've given the GPE, and I think only then will we see the true potential of the energy sector in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Program, the EECP, ended in the fiscal year 2020-21. It was designed to raise awareness and increase energy efficiency in the public sector. One of the final activities under this project was an energy efficiency and conservation survey for the public sector workers, which was done under contract valued at 13.4 million Jamaican dollars. The survey concluded that the level of awareness within the public sector was 73%. Madam Speaker, a major development under the EMEP, the Energy Management and Efficiency Project, is the signing of a contract valued at 515 million Jamaican dollars for the implementation of the Urban Traffic Management System, UTMS, in the Kingston Metropolitan Area, KMA. The implementation time is 10 months. The UTMS is a centrally controlled intelligent transport system that will be able to provide real-time information to motorists in an effort to reduce travel time on the roads and be more efficient. Right, Minister Montague?
That is correct. That is correct.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, our oil and gas exploration continues. In the first quarter of 2021 financial year, Cabinet approved United Oil and Gas acquisition of Tullow 80% interest and operatorship to continue the exploration of the high potential prospectivity unlocked by the new 3D seismic data acquired over the main drill prospect. UOG has identified 21 possible reservoir targets within the Walton Morant Basin. To further reinforce the potential, an independent competent persons report was performed by renowned Gaffney Klein and Associates, where they estimate that the acreage is capable of containing a potential mean on-risk prospective resource of over 2.4 billion barrels of recoverable oil across 11 of those identified leads and prospects. United Gas has now commenced their global marketing campaign to attract an investor to commit to funding the drilling of an exploration well before January 2022 and executing that well by January 24. The cost of such an exploration well is estimated between 30 and 40 million US dollars. To provide context, the entire exploration journey since 2014 costed just over 35 million US dollars. Madam Speaker, if this exploration is successful and properly managed, the potential for Jamaica would indeed be transformational. Public consultations were conducted by the Caribbean Policy Research Institute CAPI regarding the strategic direction for Petrojam. The consultation comprised representatives from 4 professional constituencies: engineers, entrepreneurs, investment finance professionals, and ordinary citizens deemed to be without material interest in Petrojam. The public perspectives reveal the strategic importance for Petrojam's assets to the country. However, there was consensus for the establishment of a public-private partnership in terms of the preferred strategic direction of Petrojam's operation. The major findings were linked to the public dissatisfaction regarding Petrojam's brand image, Petrojam's leadership and government structure, the absence of private sector involvement, and Petrojam's operational practices and high fuel costs. Misalignment between global and local oil prices blamed on Petrojam. The company has been mandated to take the required steps to address the issues that have been adversely impacting its image. Petrojam is procuring the services of a communication specialist, but I have instructed that a critical function of that engagement must include addressing what the public views as a lack of transparency in the pricing mechanism used by Petrojam to determine fuel prices and provide ongoing explanation to the public on the process that is involved. Madam Speaker, Jamaica deserves to know and to understand the formula that is used in calculating fuel prices, which fluctuate based on world oil prices. From my ministry's side, we are getting technical assistance from the International Monetary Fund, which was initiated by my former colleague, Minister Williams, which has access to pricing mechanism in many countries to analyze the impacts of changes to Petrojam's pricing regime. This support is expected within 4 to 6 weeks. This will allow the government to intelligently weigh the merits of the contestable policy advice and to make informed decisions in the interest of the economic and social agendas of the country. Madam Speaker, Petrojam has a critical role to play in keeping prices affordable and smoothing out the peaks and troughs as the world market price experiences significant volatility. The report of the IMF will be reviewed with Petrojam and a fulsome presentation be made to Cabinet on its completion. Madam Speaker, as the speaker before me, my colleague minister, made mention, during the last fiscal year, the rural electrification functions were transferred to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. All house wiring and pole-related activities now reside in that ministry, as I continue to receive a number of calls from members of Parliament and others as it relates to outstanding matters prior to the transition. Madam Speaker, for the new fiscal year, we will run a Usain Bolt sprint to complete some of the key legislation, such as the Petroleum Downstream Activity Bill and Regulations, the amendments to the Electricity Act 2015, Electricity Net Billing Regulations, Electric Power Wheeling Regulations, and the Electricity Auxiliary Connections Regulations. During the new fiscal year, omnibus legislation will be drafted to address the increase in monetary penalties and custodial sentences in a modernization of our portfolio legislation. This is an entire portfolio matter. Madam Speaker, the establishment of the Government Electrical Regulator, GR, has commenced with the licensing, examination, and registration bans coming into operation. A 3-month transition to fully operationalize the GR commenced on April 1st, 2021. Activities such as recruitment of staff, the determination of separation costs for staff who will not be employed in the new entity, development of the online system and training in the use of the system by both staff and stakeholders will be undertaken. The closure of Petrojam Ethanol Limited and the transfer of the residual functions under Petrojam took effect April 30th, 2021. Madam Speaker, once the ministry is supported in terms of this fiscal regime for e-mobility, the work of developing the electric mobility infrastructure and strengthening the capacities of key institutions will be well advanced. The private investment has started with the installation of charging stations. There is need for active and sustained engagement of the Heart NSTA Trust and other training agencies to upskill the island's mechanics. I'm sure my Prime Minister heard that. Madam Speaker, the generation procurement entity commencing this fiscal year will procure the next tranche of electricity generation capacity. The GPE will manage a procurement process by means of competitive bidding from prospective independent power producers, IPPs, under established rules and protocols. Now, Madam Speaker, last but not least, the technology portfolio. The technology portfolio that I consider to be the biggest economic enabler in the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic. And it is impatient of rollout. Technology is a catalyst for the building of a brighter future for all. Amen. We live in a digital era where technology has redefined and reshaped our realities. With the onset of the global pandemic, the government has had to respond quickly to the needs of the citizens by providing much-needed relief due to the economic impact of the pandemic while accelerating its digital agenda. Madam Speaker, the most significant of the country's COVID-19 response will be the growth of the broadband infrastructure. The pandemic has exposed global structural broadband weaknesses in many countries, including Jamaica. Countries with good broadband infrastructure in terms of high internet penetration among their population combined with available online services from private and public sector are unable to weather the economic impact of COVID-19. These countries have kept essential areas of their economies operational by quickly migrating essential services online. Their economies are expected to bounce back much more quickly than those countries that lack adequate broadband infrastructure. Jamaica is not in the same category as those countries. Instead, the pandemic has served as a dramatic wake-up call for the nation to accelerate its digital agenda from mere words on paper to actions on the ground. We are far behind in many of the critical benchmarks used to measure broadband success. We are behind the Caribbean region in practically all of the broadband metrics: mobile data, cost, internet access, and fiber optic cable penetration. We have a lot of ground to make up and a very little time to do so. And I would further say, I have a little time to do so, or I won't be here for the next sectoral presentation in this position. The National Broadband Initiative must therefore be seen. You know where I got that from? From your horse's mouth. The National Broadband Initiative must therefore be seen as a strategic investment that will have an immediate, direct, and long-term impact on the life and livelihoods of the Jamaican people. Provide support for businesses, especially in the MSME sector, to improve productivity and reduce costs, and improve the efficiency of public services. It is against that background that I will be requesting the Cabinet and the Parliament to designate the National Broadband Initiative as a national development project and will be funded by the Government of Jamaica. This is a signal to the bureaucracy that the procurement is to be treated as a priority. That's right. The designation will also signal to the country the full support of the project at the very apex of government. And I will pause to say that I trust that we will have the full support of the opposition, not like recent. That will never happen. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology has allocated $550 million from across its portfolio. In addition, World Bank and the Planning Institute of Jamaica will provide 176 million Jamaican dollars, and GovNet and other existing ICT projects funded by the loan arrangements with the IDB will provide just over $80 million in support. Earlier this month, the Prime Minister mandated several ministries through Cabinet to allocate resources to this national initiative, and following that instruction, within days, we have received written commitments from many ministries led by the Ministry of Education with an allocation of $250 million towards this initiative. Madam Speaker, Plan 1 is therefore fully funded. Madam Speaker, as former Prime Minister Edward Seaga said, it takes cash to care. That's right. And too often we come to Parliament and we make these grandiose announcements, and for some reason or not, the funding is not provided, and therefore they languish for years. This initiative, in relation to what I'm about to announce, is already funded, and we are actively seeking funding from within government to make us have the National Broadband Initiative implemented, as I said, in December of 2020 by 2025. Madam Speaker, we are proceeding in two fronts, and I want my colleagues to listen carefully. Plan 1, which seeks to address the immediate and short-term needs to coordinate a COVID-19 ICT-related response to the public sector. This plan is being implemented in 2 phases, and we will start and try to complete the first phase within the new school term, which starts into September to December. Plan 2, the longer term, which will see us rolling out the last mile initiative to achieve universal access. This is an overall plan that is expected to be completed by 2025, as I announced earlier in December in Parliament. Madam Speaker, we are moving with lightning speed to execute on the 100-day plan, which will involve connectivity between 8 municipal authorities in Portland, St. Thomas, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and St. James. Existing GovNet fiber optic cable will be extended from the KMA. No, man, just give me time.
Madam Speaker.
I just need 2 hours, that's all.
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the standing orders be suspended to enable the minister to continue or to complete his presentation. Thank you.
The question before the House is that the minister be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Much obliged, Madam Speaker. Existing GovNet fiber optic cable will be extended from the KMA to all parishes using the municipal corporation as an aggregation point. The national communication backbone will require simultaneous installation of microwave and fiber optic communication systems to ensure network redundancy and reliability. The completion of the national communication backbone will allow for the connection of 461 public entities. Let me repeat that, just in case members on the other side didn't hear. The completion of the national communication backbone will allow the connection of 461 public entities, including 196 schools, 160 ministries, departments, and agencies, 62 major health facilities, 41 major police stations, and 11 Spectrum Management Authority sites. We will complete connectivity to the schools, as I said earlier, in the new school term, starting with the term which starts in September. Madam Speaker, island-wide coverage provided by the National Infrastructure Communication Backbone will enable the use across all parishes of the following applications: the traffic management system, allowing connectivity for police station, courts, and tax administration, Jamaica. Colleague, all the tax tickets. The Amanda application. Central Treasury Management Systems, HR Management Systems, Shared Application Services, and last but not least, Jamaica Eye. And we all saw just last week what Jamaica Eye can do to help us fight the scourge of crime and violence. So that is a 100-day plan where I'm expecting that everybody that has been mentioned in those categories will have a Merry Christmas in 2021. So let us go to Plan 2. Oh, I'm not sure if the Prime Minister is listening. Is he hearing everything? Okay, I just want to know. Okay. Plan 2, the Last Mile Initiative. Madam Speaker, let me just say that the 2025 timeline that I announced in my statement in December is no political bluster. I mean every word of the statement, because it is grounded in the reality that when we are challenged as a nation, we always have to rise above the occasion. The statement was informed by the facts on the ground in regards to the availability of broadband infrastructure in Jamaica. The challenge, therefore, is the government to develop legislative policies and regulatory framework that are reflective of government's goals of universal access. We are awaiting some expert assistance from the European Union and the International Telecommunications Union. We are in a hurry to build a brighter future for our people with lightning speed. The long-term national infrastructure communication backbone will build on the 100-day plan. The commercial model will be designed to leverage a public-private partnership model with the intention of increasing competition and attracting foreign direct investments and new players to enable increased and affordable access. The National Broadband Initiative is the biggest economic enabler during the pandemic and for the post-pandemic recovery. It is estimated that when fully implemented, the national broadband backbone will contribute to approximately 800 million Jamaican dollars annually to the economy. Madam Speaker, we are moving with lightning speed to a new, bold, and brighter future. Madam Speaker, as I said last December 15 to be exact, we expect a third telecom provider because, Madam Speaker, we believe and support competition as the best way to achieve quality service at affordable prices for the consumer. I know I have my colleagues' full support, as he was one who called for it, but unfortunately did not implement it. I am happy to report that Cabinet just yesterday approved a third telecom provider 4 months later from the announcement, so you can see the lightning speed. The company, Rock Mobile, is a wholly owned Jamaican company. The request for proposal was shaped to align with the government's policy objective to increase broadband access to unserved and underserved areas, promote competition, innovation, and diversity in the telecoms industry, ensure optimum return in the shortest possible time for the spectrum assigned. The third mobile provider will be required to deploy its network in keeping with the coverage, quality of service, and implementation timing in the bid, including the provision of 95% population coverage at a specified minimum download data rate. 95% population coverage of communities classified as unserved or underserved at a specified minimum download data rate. Service launch date is no more than 12 months after the grant of the license, meaning the actual license in the hand of the provider. The company is expected to achieve full rollout of service within 2 years. Madam Speaker, the criteria will be monitored closely. Simply put, Madam Speaker, use it or lose it. Simple as that. Madam Speaker, through eGov Jamaica Limited, we have provided much needed behind the scenes support to government efforts in this regard. The support resulted in the successful development of deployment of several solutions, which included Tax Administration Jamaica mobile app, WeCare application platform used by the Ministry of Finance, and the Own Your Own Device program in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Madam Speaker, the pandemic highlighted the great digital divide existing within our nation. With the closure of schools and the shift towards remote learning, many of our students lacked internet connectivity and ICT assets, which continue to hamper their education. An urgent response was needed. Madam Speaker, through eLearning Jamaica, we embarked on several major projects designed to increase access to connected devices across publicly funded schools, with the objective of ensuring that our children and teachers had adequate access to the use of innovative educational technological solutions. During the period under review, eLearning Jamaica procured and distributed approximately 40,000 tablets to benefit grades 4 to grade 6 students in the program of advancements through health and education path, who are preparing for the primary exit PEP examinations. This initiative represented a total investment of $982 million, inclusive of procurement and distribution. Madam Speaker, our teachers were not neglected. eLearning, again, with the Ministry of Education, procured and distributed 26,000 tablets to public sector teachers island-wide, representing a total investment of $805 million. Shadow Minister of Finance, can you keep a check on the money for me? Let me just repeat it. 982 and 805. Just make a note for you. Okay. Keep a running tab for me. Madam Speaker, eLearning Jamaica Limited, in collaboration, Ministry of Education and eGov Jamaica, eLearning Jamaica facilitates the development and the rollout of Own Your Own Device incentive program. This program is aimed at assisting 36,000 students to purchase laptops or tablets from over 100 approved vendor locations island-wide. Under this program, each student receives a voucher of $20,000. A total of $720 million has been earmarked for this program, which will continue in this financial year. How much we gone? We're still keeping our running check. Okay. As of May 5th, approximately 10,000 beneficiaries had redeemed their vouchers, totaling $200 million. So that 200 will be out of the 720. Don't double count. Madam Speaker, laptop for part students. 15,000 laptops for part students in grades 10 to 13 were procured and distributed during the 2021 fiscal year. Devices were equipped with tracking and remote management capabilities to guard against theft. The total investment was $1.3 billion, inclusive of procurement and distribution. This is how we build a brighter future for Jamaica, by equipping the next generation with the tools to take charge, create more possibilities within the digital space, and future-proof of their careers. And I have to, again, stop and yield to recognize the new Minister of Education for the work that she did while she was at MSET, which I have completing a number of it, and the work that she's doing in her new portfolio responsibility as the Ministry of Education and your entire team. Absolutely. Madam Speaker, Universal Service Fund. Even as we provide ICT assets, we also need to provide access to the internet. Through the Universal Service Fund, we continue the provision of internet access and facilities in unserved and underserved areas. Madam Speaker, we promised 3 new locations for this year, and I'm proud to report that we established 5 new locations: Shackleton, Ocheres, Port Antonio, Maypen, and Notabade, and restored functionality to the Olympic Way site. Madam Speaker, for the fiscal year, the USF has increased the number of community access points by 7 and advanced work on an additional 11, which we expect to complete by the end of the second quarter of the new fiscal year. Delays were experienced because of the unavailability of computer systems on the global market. Madam Speaker, the total support provided by the USF for the Tablet for Teacher program and the Tablet in School program was $1 billion. In addition, more than $240 million was spent to support the public Wi-Fi hotspots, community access points, and the provision of devices to the educational system. Despite the hardships that we are facing and the shortage of revenue, you can see once again that the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Finance has created miracles for us to be able to invest this level of money in ICT. In a digital society, we cannot afford for anyone to be left behind, especially the most vulnerable among us. During the 2021 fiscal year, the USF targeted 5 disabled groups to support. The USF outfitted a computer lab for the Genesis Academy School of Excellence for students with physical and intellectual learning disabilities to the tune of $5.4 million. The remaining projects will be completed in this fiscal year due to the challenges associated with procuring of large amounts of computer systems. Madam Speaker, supporting ICT education was a major initiative in 2021 financial year. USF launched a research grant project to promote innovation in ICT. 3 projects have been identified for funding to build out and continue to the ICT landscape in Jamaica. This will extend into 21-22. And as I said before, USF also provided 28 PEP bursaries valued at $1.2 million to purchase ICT devices for the top boy and girl in each parish for the primary exit profile exam. 1 scholarship valid for a 3-year degree program was also awarded to a path beneficiary. On to spectrum management. The Spectrum Management Authority provided assistance to the National Broadband Initiative by redirecting $50 million from the Remote Monitoring Directional Finding System project. With this initiative, the SMA would be fully integrated with the national microwave and fiber optic network infrastructure being implemented by the COVID plan, designed to expand the GovNet multi-protocol label switching backbone island-wide. The benefits for the SMA partnering with GovNet will result in leveraging the existing infrastructure network and technical capacity of the NWA, reducing RMDFS project, and scalability to expand RMDF network. During the 2021 fiscal year, SMA embarked on the establishment of a spectrum e-licensing system in order to achieve various efficiency gains through the spectrum licensing process for the internal and external stakeholders. Madam Speaker, Cabinet, and my colleague former Minister will appreciate this. Cabinet approved the revised spectrum pricing policy that will see the removal of spectral caps. MSET is now preparing the regulations and a review of all spectrums allocated. This is to prevent what is known in the industry as spectrum hoarding. All future spectrum allocations will have performance targets and timelines to ensure that valuable spectrum is used to improve telecom services in Jamaica. Failure to meet the performance standards will incur sanctions. Again, Madam Speaker, it is simple. Use it or lose it. You will recall when I had the honor of working in the Ministry of Education, of MEC-JC, that there was a land issue or a land policy, and the Prime Minister and Cabinet instructed that lands are leased or sold by the government must have performance clauses. And if those are not met, the land reverts to the government. Well, there's no difference with spectrum, colleague. We need the spectrum, it's valuable, and we need to roll out the best that we can in terms of internet and broadband coverage. So that will be definitively. The SMA prepared the request for proposal, and again, for the 700 megahertz, and again, was to be developed to promote increased competition and bridge the digital divide in areas where our citizenry has no access to internet and data services. Madam Speaker, data is the king of the digital age, and every user of technology is at risk of cyber attacks. As a ministry, we are improving our capacity to respond to cyber attacks in the public service. The Organization of American States, through its Inter-American Committee Against Terrorism, working with the Jamaica Cyber Incident Response Team, JCERT, has implemented an early warning system which will assist in protecting Jamaica's cyber infrastructure through the use of security information and event management to facilitate timely intrusion detection. This will enable JCERT to provide alerts as soon as there is exploitation of known vulnerabilities or zero-day events. Through active cyber threat research, near real-time information is provided to public and private entities resulting from its persistent horizon scan of the new and emergent threats that present a clear and present danger to information technology systems in Jamaica. These systems are helping to fortify Jamaica's cyber infrastructure by according a more proactive approach in dealing with cyber threats. The JCERT website is being revamped to allow for the anonymous reporting of cyber breaches as well as the uploading of artifacts for analysis by the team. This will significantly improve the ability to respond more effectively to the specific cyber events. Under the Plan Secure Jamaica umbrella, the capability of JCERT will significantly bolstered to provide increased capacity for the effective service delivery. You will recall, Madam Speaker, the establishment of the Joint Select Committee to review the Cybercrimes Act 2015, for which I chair. While the process is continuing, I will use this platform once again to indicate the fundamental importance of Jamaica having a strong legislative framework that addresses current cybersecurity realities, as well as the future developments that may occur. A strengthened legislative provision will assist the work of JCERT and bolster our efforts at improving the cybersecurity ecosystem in the public sector. Madam Speaker, this is extremely important, given the move to e-government, e-participation, and most importantly of all, the national identification system. Madam Speaker, prior to this fiscal year, the Post and Telegraph Department, Postal Corporation of Jamaica, came under new leadership as of March 1st with the appointment of a new Postmaster General in the person of Mr. Lincoln Allen. The modernization of Jamaica's post is long overdue as a result of several factors. As the Postal Services move towards its 350th year anniversary milestone, the implementation of various initiatives will assist in optimizing efficiency, service delivery, and profitability. However, to transition the department into becoming a logistic giant, a paradigm shift in service delivery and operations is needed to achieve a competitive advantage over others in the local logistics market. It is therefore imperative that Jamaica Post swiftly digitizes its operations along with other transformational activities to meet the needs of our stakeholders and exceed their expectations. In this regard, a review of the organizational structure of the Postal Corporation of Jamaica was completed and submitted to the Ministry of Finance for approval in May 2021. The strengthening of the human resource capacity with additional skill set and competencies, among other things, with the Jamaica Post will help to drive the implementation of the strategies, initiatives necessary to transform the entity into one that leverages technology to improve efficiency and customer service delivery, as well as increase revenue. We intend to place the transformation of Jamaica Post on a fast track with the development of a modernizational plan with timely implementation thereafter. To this end, the Ministry has issued instructions to the Post and Telegraph to develop a mechanism that replicates a concept previously adopted, which resulted in the establishment of the Ligani Post Mall. I think that was under colleague Paulwell. Madam Speaker, I have given instructions for similar type arrangements to be adopted throughout the island at postal points that are strategically located and geographically suited for similar economic activity. The aim is to optimize the use of these postal points, create jobs in communities, increase economic activity, while at the same time maintaining postal services. In addition, Jamaica was shortlisted by the Universal Postal Union as one of the 3 Caribbean countries, the other 2 being Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago, to assist with the efficient transshipment of mail items throughout the Caribbean to the rest of the world. The hub would facilitate the processing of all mails items destined for the Caribbean, from the Caribbean to the rest of the world. The process, however, remains in the embryo stage for further discussion with the finalization by the UPU. The benefits of the hub include provisional additional employment opportunity for Jamaican citizens, facilitating greater efficiency in the processing and dissemination of mail items globally, and ultimately rebrand and restore the corporate image of Jamaica Post. Madam Speaker, we have several big-ticket initiatives to advance Jamaica's digital agenda for 2021. The establishment of a cyber security e-governance academy, establishment of the Office of the Information Commissioner, data protection regulations, which I know the Prime Minister is pushing me for, transition to the ICT Authority, tablets in schools program, tablets for teacher program, partnership with the Ministry of Education and Youth and Information, community Wi-Fi initiative. Madam Speaker, in keeping with government's national broadband initiative to ensure that within 5 years there is universal access broadband, the Universal Service Fund has embarked on an additional initiative to increase access to the Internet for all. The new initiative, called Community Wi-Fi, will see the USF outfitting at least 3 communities in each constituency with Wi-Fi. It is envisioned that approximately 189 locations will be identified and outfitted over this period. I think this is something that I had mentioned before, and I think that this will go a far way to take some pressure off of the MPs, especially the rural MPs. For the 2021 fiscal year, the USF will be identifying community access points that can be upgraded with access points outside the location to provide greater access to more persons. This conversion will also support the community Wi-Fi project. Under the Connect program, the USF will continue to place public Wi-Fi hotspots in parish capitals and heavily trafficked town centers for the use by public. For 2021-22 period, which is this financial year, the USF will add 6 more Wi-Fi: St. Thomas, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Hanover, Trelawney, and St. Catherine. This will bring 19. This will bring 19 the number of public Wi-Fi hotspots across the island. And I can tell you that they are very effective for those who have them. If Manchester is not there, it will be added. It must be a typo. No, you'll get Christiana in year 3. Yes, you'll get Christiana in year 3. The USF will support through funding the building of GovNet is spearheaded through eGov, Jamaica, and the National Works Agency. This build-out will also see the USF being able to leverage the infrastructure for its suite of projects under the Community Wi-Fi Connect Jamaica and Community Access Points, wherein these internet services will be migrated into the government infrastructure for greater efficiency and reach, in keeping with the provision of internet as a public good. In closing, or before I close, let me just indicate that all of the new road improvements that you have heard announced by Minister Warmington and the South Coast Highway and all of those major projects, the one from Maypen to Williamsfield, all of those will have ducting to allow for cable, fiber to be run. So it is a whole of government approach that all new infrastructure will be mandated to have that, and that also will go a far way in also assisting us to reach to where we want to go. So In closing, Madam Speaker, the Ministry will bolster capacity and capabilities across the three portfolios to support the country's repositioning strategies to recover from COVID-19 and to build a new and brighter future for the people of Jamaica. We will scale up activities to popularize science in Jamaica and to unleash the talent, ingenuity, creativity, and innovation that comes so naturally to the Jamaican people. Madam Speaker, we'll implement the new institutional arrangements in the energy and technology sectors to strengthen the institutional capacity of the ministry to execute on its mandate. We are advancing the development of the e-mobility infrastructure because we are hungry for the $284 million to help us build a bright future for the Jamaican people. We are moving with lightning speed to complete the last mile initiative because every Jamaican deserves to have access to the internet, and we are determined to bring back 120,000 school children who have fallen behind in the system. They deserve a brighter future. Madam Speaker, last year we spent more than $3 billion to increase access to the internet and provide ICT assets to poor Jamaicans because they deserve a brighter future. This year, the investment in the expansion of internet access and ITC assets will be more significant as we roll out the National Broadband Initiative, consolidating existing programs and introducing new ones. Madam Speaker, I've spent the last 8 months in the ministry bringing some of the best minds within and without Jamaica to shape the landscape of the three portfolio areas, bringing the international community on board to support the government's last mile initiative, garnering the support of the regional and international community to strengthen the minister's technical capabilities to respond to the country's rapidly changing needs. Madam Speaker, we are in stride and on our way to a lightning speed finish as we chart a new path to a bold and brighter future for Jamaica, land we love. I thank you, Madam Speaker. How does Jamaica you like? If you don't give it Jamaica, you will. Can I get that? Can I get that? Can I get that?
Member Luton Cousins, MP for Clarendon Southwestern, Opposition spokesperson on water and agriculture.
That is fun. Oh. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to make my first contribution to a sectoral debate. In this House of Representatives, Madam Speaker, there are many to whom I owe a debt of gratitude, for without them it would not be possible. The Almighty, through whom all things are possible, my family, who has always given their unwavering support, the people of Southwestern Clarendon, Madam Speaker, who have elected me to represent them, the political leadership and workers in the constituency who have been supporting me since my election last September, to my parliamentary colleagues, especially the leader of opposition, I thank you for the many courtesies extended and look forward to a productive and energetic parliamentary term. Finally, to you, Madam Speaker, and this extends to you as well, Madam Deputy Speaker, I wish you well in the burden you carry to preside over these deliberations in this combative arena and in your efforts to maintain fairness at all times. Madam Speaker, as this is my contribution as Member of Parliament, it would be remiss of me not to mention a number of issues affecting Southwestern Clarendon. Madam Speaker, the constituency is a strategically located one and is a part of the main corridor in the center of Jamaica, linking the parishes of Kingston in the east and Montego Bay in the west. As a result, the state of our road infrastructure is extremely important to the economy, not only to the economy of Jamaica, but also to the constituency. Southwestern Clarendon, like most of rural Jamaica, Madam Speaker, is lagging behind where infrastructure development is concerned. In fact, we are plagued by poor roads, which can no longer be addressed by the quarterly patching program of the National Works Agency and requires serious asphaltic overlay. In addition to the roads, Madam Speaker, the constituency continues to suffer from a serious drainage issue, as evidenced by the continuous flooding of communities in the times of heavy rainfall. Most of the constituency is relatively flat and serves as a basin for the water from Manchester and Upper Clarendon, which ultimately channels through the constituency and to the sea. Madam Speaker, a flood plan is urgently needed to address the problems, and the National Works Agency is urged to develop one as soon as practicably possible, as the residents of the constituency continue to suffer greatly in the times of flooding. Madam Speaker, the constituency continues to be plagued by water shortages due to inadequate supply and, in some instances, the lack of potable water. The northernmost section of the constituency are all without piped water, while areas in the southern section suffer from inadequate supply. In terms of tourism, Madam Speaker, the constituency has great potential for the development of ecotourism. Plans to repeal the old Milk River Bath Act, announced in the throne speech for the Parliament year 2021, are welcomed, as the Milk River mineral bath is one of the most radioactive in the world, leading other countries such as France, Switzerland, and England. My vision is that there be a comprehensive development of this project to be used as a catalyst for the development of the greater Milk River area. This would improve the tourism product on the South Coast, resulting in increased business opportunities and converting Milk River into a modern spa town. Madam Speaker, farming is essentially important to the constituency. Unfortunately, due to the downturn in the sugar industry, which was the primary source of income for most of the constituency residing on the Veer Plains, agricultural production is down. There is light at the end of the tunnel, as we now have a number of top-performing agri-parks, including Ebony Park and Spring Plains. There are other agri-parks to come on stream in the constituency, namely Panarsus Agri-Park in Yorktown and the Hermitage Agri-Park in Water Lane, and Madam Speaker, the much-touted Mangrove Agri-Park in Tollgate. Let me take this opportunity to renew my call and remind the Minister of the commitment he gave at the sitting of the Joint Select Committee of Parliament regarding the reservation of at least 50% of agri-park lands for farmers in the surrounding communities. Madam Speaker, before moving on to the more fundamental aspects of my sectoral debate, I want to assure all residents of Southwestern Clarendon of my steadfast commitment to use my platform in providing opportunities to enable them to be better prepared for the challenges of the 21st century. Madam Speaker, I now turn to the areas for which I have portfolio responsibility, namely agriculture and water. Both, Madam Speaker, will be addressed in turn. My main objective, Madam Speaker, is to see a more vibrant, robust, and world-leading agricultural sector, which should be contributing to a greater share of the country's GDP. And this, Madam Speaker, is at least by 25%. This goal needs to be supported by a clearly documented food security strategy, focusing on research and development, the reduction of imports through import substitution, and an increase in exports by improving traditional produce such as refined sugar, cocoa, coffee, and other non-traditional products such as sea island cotton, castor oil beans, and bamboo. This will benefit the country in various ways by reducing our demand for foreign currency, which in turn would contribute to a less volatile foreign exchange market. Madam Speaker, a less volatile foreign exchange market will result in reduced cost of agricultural inputs, leading to a more favorable environment for our farmers to produce and ultimately be of great benefit to the consumers at the end of the supply chain through reduced food prices. Madam Speaker, I will begin by examining and looking at our food imports, which clearly demonstrate how food insecure Jamaica is. Relative to the agricultural sector, we are heading in the wrong direction where the importation of food is concerned. Madam Speaker, imports reached an unprecedented high of US $1 billion in 2019. And in 2020, Madam Speaker, despite the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in the closure of the hotel and entertainment sectors from as early as March 2020, our import bills still managed to exceed $900 million US. Madam Speaker, in 2020, Jamaica imported 6.23 million kilograms of Irish potatoes, an increase of 101% over the 3.1 million kilograms imported in 2019. Cabbage imports, imagine, Madam Speaker, cabbage imports were up 19% to 49,000 kilograms, and tomatoes, we are importing tomatoes. Tomato imports up 18,000 kilograms in 2019 to 35,000 kilograms in 2020, a whopping increase of 91%. All of this happened, Madam Speaker, whilst our imports increased considerably, our local farmers, as we all saw on the television, were being forced to feed their tomatoes to pigs because of the fact that there was no market for this crop. And they had some farmers in recent times who had to be giving away their cabbages. Madam Speaker, this is not the new face of food. This is the new face of imported food. I want to make it clear, Madam Speaker, that the increased imports cannot be attributed to the pandemic, as this has been a consistent feature since 2017. Madam Speaker, to get a deeper picture of the trend of imports, I also looked at the last 4 years, 2017 to 2020, of this administration, and was alarmed at the depth to which our farming community was impacted. Listen to this, Madam Speaker. Irish potato imports went up 206%. Broccoli imports up 167%. Tomato imports up 285%. Hot pepper. Imagine we are importing hot pepper. Hot pepper imports up 225%. Carrots, Madam Speaker. We have carrots growing in St. Elizabeth, in the minister's constituency, in my constituency. We have managed to import 95% more carrots between 2017 and 2020. Now, what do we tell our constituents, the farmers, when they see these import figures? Sweet corn, Madam Speaker, even though there's an arrangement between Imagination Farms and the ministry, sweet corns between 2017 and 2020, listen to this figure, it went up by 1,162%. That is how much more sweet corns we imported between 2017 and 2020. Madam Speaker, Jamaica Statistical Institute of Jamaica, your figures, our figures. Madam Speaker, Jamaica is heading in the wrong direction because we are relying more and more on imported food. This is not sustainable, not only because of the cost of these imports, but because these items can be easily grown by Jamaican farmers. It is with this in mind, Madam Speaker, that I am hereby proposing that an import substitution strategy be formulated with a view to slashing the value of imports in half over the next 5 years. This, Madam Speaker, can be achieved by identifying all the imported food items which can be produced locally and then allocating resources from the Production Incentive Program in a targeted, strategic and sustained way. In addition to this, Madam Speaker, the agro-parks should be mobilized around this production effort and resources allocated towards the production of, and I'll give you a few items or a few produce that the minister and this government can look at. Red peas, potatoes, tomatoes, mutton, beef, fish, and fish products. Strategic marketing and production plans should form a part of the effort to prevent market oversupply, as there is always great potential, Madam Speaker, for agro-processing to add value by converting the items such as tomatoes into tomato paste, a simple example. Madam Speaker, let us examine the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. Madam Speaker, RADA must provide greater support to the farmers by focusing less on farm road repair and maintenance, and should leave these matters to agencies better equipped to deal with them, such as the Municipal Corporation and the National Works Agency. RADA's focus should instead be on its core mandate to provide technical assistance and guidance to the farmers. It should be focused on guiding the farmers on issues surrounding the crops for which supply is inadequate and ensuring that supply is met internally, thereby reducing the need for the imports of the nature referenced earlier. Madam Speaker, the National Irrigation Commission. Madam Speaker, the National Irrigation Commission needs to immediately conduct an assessment of the current irrigation network across all parishes. The main focus of the objective, Madam Speaker, should be to determine the long-term viability of maintaining irrigation canals, and should also explore the use, and I'll reiterate again, microdams. It's very important to look at the usage of microdams, especially in light of the yearly effects of flooding and the drought on our farmers. Canals, Madam Speaker, needs to be phased out. A lot of our water has been lost in canals because the canals have cracks in them and the water seeps out. Canals need to be phased out and replaced by a series and network of pipes and meters, taking the water directly to farms. This would be more efficient, Madam Speaker, and would form a part of the desperately needed modernization of the infrastructure of the National Irrigation Commission. Let us look at agricultural exports, Madam Speaker. Jamaica's performance in agricultural exports is unsatisfactory, particularly, Madam Speaker, when you compare how much we import to how much we export. Data provided by the government shows our imports are four times, Madam Speaker, greater than the value of exports. This is a great concern to us as opposition, because what it means in simple terms is that we are buying 4 times more than the value of produce we grow and sell overseas. Madam Speaker, any individual, any common man who does that, who spends 4 times more than he earns, would end up bankrupt. And that is what is happening to our farmers and the country. Sadly, the ministry, Madam Speaker, and I'm sorry that the Minister of Finance is not here, but the ministry is a leading sector, which represents a net drain on the country's foreign exchange reserves. The only way to change the situation is through policy. And the new face of food, Madam Speaker, should not be concerned with public relations, but focus on real policies, incentives, and a framework for agricultural profitability. Madam Speaker, let me make it clear. These are not mere criticisms. This is a very constructive discussion, and I'm going to propose solutions. Madam Speaker, in proposing my solutions, let us look at and examine our traditional exports to see exactly what we can do to improve on them so that Jamaica can benefit in the long run. Madam Speaker, the traditional crops as a subsector demands attention. These are essential crops such as sugar. Yes, I said it's sugar, cocoa, coffee, coconut, banana, citrus, and an array of spices and other produce in the subsector that should be a part of the reinvigorated program. Madam Speaker, time will not allow me to sufficiently speak on all of these traditional crops, but I would like to highlight our concern on a few of them. And Madam Speaker, I'll begin with sugar. I am a product of the sugar belt in Vere Plains. My 4 grandparents were all sugar workers, cane cutters. And I must admit, Madam Speaker, that there was a time when I, like many of us in this house, believed that sugar was dead. But you know, interestingly, when preparing this presentation, I did my research on sugar, and I want you all in here to listen carefully to the figures, and you will realize that sugar is not dead. There is a pathway for the return of sugar, and I will address the specific type of sugar that we need to focus on. Madam Speaker, this specific produce is refined sugar, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, refined or granulated sugar is not, listen carefully, I know you're going to be shocked to hear the figures. Refined or granulated sugar is not produced in Jamaica. Consequently, all our needs are met by overseas supplies. Manufacturers are allowed to import the product duty-free, and therein lies the problem, as a raw material, while supplies imported for the retail sale incur a duty of 128% on the value of the shipment. Madam Speaker, Jamaica legally can impose a duty of 100% common external tariff and 200% additional stamp duty in order to revive the local industry and protect our farmers and the communities who have relied on sugar from time immemorial. Listen to the figures. Listen to the figures and you will understand why. Madam Speaker, import data from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica reveals that imports of 60 to 70,000 metric tons of sugar cost Jamaica $3.9 billion in 2019, $4.3 billion in 2020. It is therefore mind-boggling that we have not sought to place great emphasis on the production for our own domestic consumption. While it is my understanding, and let me just examine the thing from all sides. Whilst it is my understanding, there is a greater cost than just financial cost where sugar is concerned. That there were complaints from the raw material purchasers that the quality was inferior. Let me just be fair. Based on the poor standard of the raw sugar and the inability of the carbonization plant to produce refined sugar at a sufficiently low quality. These factors, Madam Speaker, can be readily and easily addressed to encourage the production of refined or granulated sugar locally, which would revive the sector, lead to employment, reduction in crime, that is the cost, and reduction in the possible export of the product to CARICOM. Listen to how massive the CARICOM market is. In April 2019, the Caribbean Development Bank funded a study to determine whether locally produced plantation-wide sugar would be suitable for regional manufacturing. The findings, which were reported at a sugar stakeholders meeting in Brazil in October, not too long ago, Belize, in October 2019, that was not too long ago, revealed that soft drink companies or makers like Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Nestle have for some time, right, been using the sugar, right? And that all that was required, based on the response of Nestle and Pepsi and Coca-Cola, was for the manufacturing companies and facilities to change the processes, meeting requirements for color and impurities. These findings, Madam Speaker, have opened up a potential export market, because our domestic market is not just Jamaica alone, you know. Our domestic market extends to all of CARICOM. And the domestic market, potentially for sugar, is 160,000 tons per annum of plantation-wide sugar. And this would potentially cut our local imports and extra-regional imports. So there is a pathway for sugar, whether we like it or not. Coffee, Madam Speaker, let us look at coffee. Coffee farming is important and is a very important part of the agricultural sector, providing significant foreign exchange earnings and providing employment to many Jamaicans. Last week, Madam Speaker, the Minister reported that over $100 million worth of input and subsidies were committed to the sector for the farmers of coffee. He also said that JACRA and the Ministry of Tourism and other interests are promoting the industry to enhance its appeal. Madam Speaker, let me make it clear. I have no reason whatsoever to discount what the Minister has reported. But the reality we face as a country is that coffee has seen better days. Madam Speaker, the price of a box of coffee dropped from $13,000 per box in 2015, 2016 to $4,000 per box in 2016, 2017. Madam Speaker, this is something that you'll be familiar with because your constituency is a coffee-producing center for Jamaica. And today, Madam Speaker, the price of a box of coffee is $6,500. Given the importance, $6,500. And the farmers are only paid $4,500. Given the importance of the industry to farmers in St. Thomas, St. Andrew, Portland, St. Mary, and other parishes, Madam Speaker, the government must partner with the farmers, other private sector stakeholders to invest specifically in the marketing of the product. This should be done to build a brand, diversify the coffee market, and to achieve a better deal for all persons concerned. Madam Speaker, cocoa, chocolate. Let us look at cocoa. Madam Speaker, Jamaica is recognized by the International Cocoa Organization as one of the 9 countries exclusively producing fine or flavored cocoa. Our cocoa is of exceptional quality, traded in premium markets, and brings aromatic flavor profile to finished chocolate products. It is estimated, Madam Speaker, that the demand for Jamaica's fine or flavored cocoa is between 1,500 to 2,000 metric tons, with a farming complement of approximately 6,000 farmers growing cocoa commercially on 12,000 hectares in the parishes of Clarendon, St. Mary, Portland, St. Catherine, and St. Thomas. Madam Speaker, the cocoa sector requires a massive replanting exercise in order for us to rid ourselves of the debilitating frosted pod rot disease, which has wreaked havoc on the sector. The answer to this, Madam Speaker, and I say I come here and I give an answer, is for the ministry to fast-track the distribution of the ICS 95 variety of cocoa, the cocoa plant. This, Madam Speaker, was developed by the University of the West Indies in Trinidad, right? And that is St. Augustine campus, I think it is. And, Madam Speaker, this variety is disease-tolerant and still maintains the flavor profile which Jamaican coffee has. So it won't take away from the product. Madam Speaker, let us look at the non-traditional exports as an option. Given the abundance of underutilized and arable lands, the government should be looking for non-traditional crops to fill the gap, rather than developing housing estates, planting houses on good agricultural land. Non-traditional crops can contribute significantly to the development of the agricultural sector. Great potential is emerging in crops such as castor oil, bamboo, and sea island cotton. There already exists an irrigation infrastructure which makes these areas prime for large-scale agricultural projects that have the potential to contribute to the development of Jamaica and provide an opportunity to earn significant foreign exchange earnings from these initiatives. You know, there's a section or an issue that has affected us for years where agriculture is concerned, Madam Speaker. And I speak of predial larceny. Madam Speaker, predial larceny is the enemy of farming and national food security. Predial larceny is the single largest threat to Jamaica's agricultural development, and it's perennial and leads to investment hesitancy. We must rethink our approach to this fight to deal with those, Madam Speaker, who continue to reap that which they have not sown. Unless, Madam Speaker, and until we address the issues of predial larceny, the farmers' lives and livelihoods will always remain at risk. It is impossible, Madam Speaker, for the police alone to deal with it and carry the burden of being solely responsible for the protection of our agricultural produce. The farmers of this country need to be empowered. This is the first warning shot. To be able also to protect their lives and their livelihoods. Madam Speaker, we do not want any more farmers to suffer the same fate of Deron Brown. Just last week, Madam Speaker, Deron Brown, a 30-year-old cattle farmer from Riversdale, St. Catherine, who tried to protect his animals, and he ended up with a 3.5-year prison sentence for illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. The court documents, Madam Speaker, revealed that Mr. Brown became despondent after his cattle were stolen, and he made numerous reports to the police. without a response. The father of 3 is described or was described as industrious, kind-natured, with no previous convictions. He is now a convict, Madam Speaker. We could not assist him to protect his livelihood, and he was forced to take matters into his own hands to try and protect himself. Madam Speaker, I said that was the first shot, the second shot. Madam Speaker, we must empower our farmers as we need to address the issue of predial larceny. I can recall vividly, as a child growing up in Clarendon, in the plains of Clarendon, seeing farmers in my community go into the bush to tend to their cows and their goats, and they had their shotguns over their shoulders. And there's a saying, Madam Speaker, that in life, the more things change, the more they remain the same. I am proposing, Madam Speaker, that the Ministry of Agriculture and the Firearm Licensing Authority collaborate to fast-track all applications of registered farmers currently before the authority. Right, Madam Speaker, with a view, and this is a serious point, because when these predial licenses are coming, there's a developing trade, and the Minister of National Security can tell you about it. It is the meat for guns trade. When they come for your meat, they don't come for the meat for domestic consumption. They take it across the waters and they come back with guns. So when a predial larcenist comes into a farm, he's coming there with armed, ready to take your life if you're not able to defend yourself. Madam Speaker, right? The application of all farmers with no convictions at the FLA should be fast-tracked. Give the farmers a fighting chance. Give the farmers a fighting chance and give them the opportunity to protect themselves against the 2-foot puss. The 2-foot puss, as our previous agriculture minister of blessed memory once called them. Madam Speaker, I have another proposal. In addition to the predial larceny issue, I am proposing, Madam Speaker, that the Ministry and the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Finance could work together to remove the general consumption tax, right, on all security equipment and surveillance systems that the farmers require to help them to fight the scourge of predial larceny. Madam Speaker, let us turn to the blue economy. The blue economy, Madam Speaker, we previously called it the fisheries sector, but it's a developing economy now. Madam Speaker, Jamaica has 181,190 square meters of exclusive economic zone, which is 18 times the size of our land area. Jamaica also boasts the Pedro Banks, which is a resource-rich ecosystem supporting acres of seagrass, queen conch, lobster, and fish. And I might add sea cucumber now, because that is something that the ministry is looking at. Madam Speaker, the blue economy is threatened by poor planning and management, overfishing, fish sanctuary destruction, as well as from encroachment, and this is common knowledge, by overseas fishers, most of them from Central America. Despite the challenges noted, Madam Speaker, opportunities exist to create a more robust blue economy, and here are my proposals. 1, establishing
Madam Speaker, I ask that the standing orders be suspended to enable the member to continue his presentation to its conclusion.
The question is that the member be allowed to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the proposals. The proposals are, Madam Speaker, 1, establishing offshore fish farms in large underwater cages and seaweed farms with the help of expert international partners such as Scotland, Japan, or Norway, providing the Jamaica Defence Force and the Jamaica Constabulary Force with additional resources to patrol our maritime area and supply access to modern technologies to better monitor our maritime life. Madam Speaker, the 3rd, deepening our investment in fisheries conservation. This, Madam Speaker, ideally, if we are going to take fisheries conservation seriously, we must set aside a minimum of 30% of our maritime space. By doing this, Madam Speaker, we will restore and replenish the fish stock and create a thriving and healthy maritime ecosystem. Madam Speaker, how do we achieve this? How do we get financing to achieve this? Well, fortunately, Madam Speaker, the local and international capital markets are now keen and keenly interested in the blue economy, and so small island developing states such as Jamaica can benefit from grant funding and technical assistance. Funding is now available, Madam Speaker, from the United Nations Law of the Sea Secretariat, crowdfunding and donor funding from foundations, multilaterals such as the World Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank. Bilateral arrangements, Madam Speaker, with countries such as Canada, Japan, and Norway pay rich dividends. And this is so, Madam Speaker, because of these countries historically have displayed an aptitude for investing in the blue economy. These partnerships, Madam Speaker, will pay rich dividends as for institutions like the University of the West Indies and the Caribbean Maritime University can also benefit from technical support from these countries. Madam Speaker, the time has come for Jamaica to take a different and more forward-thinking approach to how our fisheries sector is managed. We cannot continue to treat the fisheries portfolio as the poor cousin of the Agriculture Ministry. The potential value of the sector is tremendous if we implement progressive policies which will ensure the long-term success of the sector. The development of a robust blue economy is critical to any food security strategy and should not be overlooked. Madam Speaker, we now turn to the other portfolio for which I have responsibility, and that is the water portfolio. Madam Speaker, the main objective of the water portfolio is to provide access to all Jamaicans to reliable and potable water supply. I believe, therefore, that any approach taken by the National Water Commission in this regard must be balanced and take into account both rural and urban areas. The current focus of the Ministry, Madam Speaker, is imbalanced, as the major projects for the 2021-2022 financial year focus on the corporate area. This is unfortunate, as there should also be some emphasis on the provision of water to remote rural communities which have been underserved and, in some instances, starved for decades. There is also a growing concern regarding the ability of the National Water Commission to finance itself, as the Commission continues to operate at a huge deficit and has become reliant on the intervention of central government to be able to operate on a daily basis. The capital budget set out in the public body's estimate of expenditure and revenue shows a preponderance, Madam Speaker, of capital projects in the urban centres. In the corporate area, though the pipes are being replaced and repaired on Spanish Town Road and other areas, the area continues to suffer from a lack of water whenever there are extended periods of drought or water restrictions in some instances. This suggests that our capacity for storage of water needs improvement. An immediate and full assessment of the Mona Reservoir and the Hermitage dams are needed with a view to determine their current status, to examine whether there is more need for raw water storage, and to implement a plan to expand or desilt where necessary. The population has grown over the years, and the National Water Commission's ability to adequately serve the Kingston metropolitan area is dwindling. Many studies, Madam Speaker, including the survey of living conditions, consistently identify the lack of reliable drinking water supplied by the National Water Commission as a major issue. The resources available for rural water supply, the resources available to the minor water supplies at the municipal corporation, as well as the availability for trucking, are all woefully inadequate. The 2019 National Water Sector Policy and Implementation Plan is the main policy guide and action for the government to ensure access to potable water. After 2 years, there needs to be an assessment to determine if the targets and improved service arrangements are being met. The ministry, which has overall responsibility for water sector policy, should be conducting this review because, Madam Speaker, the availability of water remains one of the main causes for Jamaica's social problems, especially, Madam Speaker, in this COVID-19 pandemic, where persons are encouraged to wash their hands regularly to avoid the spread of the virus. Madam Speaker, as an opposition, we are concerned that there has been no significant move concerning the private sector's involvement in water irrigation and sewage services. Water requires more investment and greater policy attention, as it appears to be lost, Madam Speaker, in the great jungle of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, which no one seems to have been given or charged with responsibility for such a crucial portfolio. Madam Speaker, what has become of the plans to encourage increased rainwater harvesting in areas of adequate rainfall and surface water runoff? Has the 15% of households using rainwater increased over the period? Are there any ongoing promotional activities? Madam Speaker, in concluding, the opposition is very clear about what is needed in both water and agriculture. Jamaica, Madam Speaker, for agriculture does not need a new face of food. Jamaica needs a new deal to produce food for the markets and dinner tables. Jamaica needs a new social contract with farmers that removes the burden of production. We need a new attitude of boldness and decisive action. We call for a new deal, Madam Speaker, not a new face of food, that must offer opportunities for farmers to become entrepreneurial in their initiatives. This requires budgeting, planning, and strategies, which will in turn allow them to create wealth. A new deal, Madam Speaker, not a new face of food, must be attractive enough to engage and entice the young people into the farming sector. A new deal involves plans to make titled lands available, placing the rural community at the center of the drive for agricultural growth. The new deal must create an organic link between the public and private sector in agriculture. It must be data-driven, and one that takes farming, Madam Speaker, from the seed to the produce with maximum yield and to sustainable markets with adequate storage. A new deal must place research and development at the center of policy, focusing on cold storage and food preservation to mitigate against gluts on the market and provide forward planning in times of shortages. We in the opposition, Madam Speaker, believe in the 2030 goals, and we believe that they are achievable, but only within the context of a new attitude from the government and a new contract with the sector. Madam Speaker, I am fully aware, and we are fully aware of the financial and fiscal constraints challenging the government in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Still, Madam Speaker, we must challenge the government to be creative in its formulation of policies and programs to benefit the struggling farmers. Madam Speaker, there can be no future prosperity in the short, medium, or long term if we continue, Madam Speaker, to maintain economic structures that are dependent on the importation of food to feed our people. Madam Speaker, I am hopeful, I am extremely hopeful, that as we shape the future of Jamaica and position Jamaican farmers to compete with those on the global stage, we are determined as an opposition, Madam Speaker, to ensure that succeeding generation of farmers do not become victims or pawns of the international economic order, but rather become beneficiaries. We therefore, Madam Speaker, need to chart a path of self-reliance fashioned out of the intelligent and disciplined use of our human and material sources. Therein ends my presentation, Madam Speaker. God bless our farmers. God bless us all. Thank you.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the speakers today. Excellent presentations by Minister Mackenzie, Minister Vaz, and the new kid on the block, Member of Parliament from Clarendon Southwest. Excellent presentations. So, Madam Speaker, I now ask that the debate be suspended.
Those in favor? Those opposed? The ayes have it. Minister Green.
No, I'm not taking it. Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to introduce a bill shortly entitled the Agro-Invest Corporation Amendment Act 2021, to have it read a first time and to give notice of its second reading.
The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the minister to introduce a bill shortly entitled the Agro-Investment Corporation Amendment Act 2021. To have it read a first time and to give notice of its second reading. Those in favor? Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, I now move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Agro-Invest Corporation Amendment Act 2021.
A bill shortly entitled the Agro-Investment Corporation Amendment Act 2021, read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice of second reading of the bill. Madam Speaker, it is not intended to open the debate today. That will be done tomorrow. But the bill has been tabled, so we will continue, Madam Speaker, tomorrow.
Thank you. House Leader.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, no further business is contemplated for today. I therefore ask that the House be adjourned to Wednesday, May 19, 2021 at 2 p.m. when the designated speakers in the sectoral debate, that is for tomorrow, are the Honorable Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness, and Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, Opposition Spokesperson on Education and Training and Member of Parliament for South West St. Andrew. So, Madam Speaker, I ask that the House be adjourned at this time.
Those in favor? Those opposed? The ayes have it. The House now stands adjourned.